Winsurf has just dropped a new family of models and they're called SWE. And we are wondering, will this actually take our jobs? They're named SWE specifically because they actually take on tasks that normal software engineers are used to doing. So it's not only about generating code, but thinking about planning, reasoning, and other steps that you would do normally in a software engineering job. So we're going to take a look at Windsurf's latest Wave 9 update that just released today. And I just got the update all updated and installed. Who am I? I'm Fernando, and I used to work at Apple for 12 years, and now I'm playing around with these AI apps, and I have a 100K challenge to try to see if I can make an app and make my first revenue online. And so one of the apps that I'm working on is called VibeStamps. And we're going to take a look at that app in a little bit, as far as taking a look to see if these actual models can code for us and take over our jobs and so forth like that. So having previously been an engineer at Apple, there's a lot of different workflows and steps and planning that you have to do to make everything work. And one of the downsides right now of some of the latest models, even the latest reasoning models, is that you have to feed it instructions one at a time, a plan, a document, and do all these types of things. So the promise here with SWE is like, the naming from Winsurf is specifically kind of three categories of models. So they have SWE-1, SWE Lite, and SWE Mini. And the promise here is basically that the SWE-1 is going to be its first step of many to try to help with reasoning and doing these types of things. So they basically have taken and fine-tuned this model to help with like beyond coding, basically all the other stuff. And this is going to be integrated into Windsurf's latest update, which we're going to take a look at here as well. And so there's a SWE Lite model, SWE Mini. And the thing that I want to tell you as we get into this, because I have a pro account, is that it's currently free, limited time for pro users. So you get to use the SWE-1 that's basically on par with like the latest Claude Sonnet 3.7 and some of these other coding models. And so we're going to put this to the test here on this live stream. So this is going to be a really cool live stream. And the app that I'm playing around with is one that I made. It's currently open source. It's called VibeStamps. And basically with VibeStamps, you just upload an SRT file. And what the SRT file does is it generates timestamps for your YouTube videos or any type of podcast or anything like that. And it uses Google Gemini under the hood to generate the timestamps. So now you have active timestamps for your videos. And one of the most important things as far as like why I made this app is because timestamps are SEO friendly. And so any of your YouTube videos immediately get pushed to the top. And it's like one of my secret SEO hacks that I've used to grow my account. My account is almost at 10K followers. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed yet on YouTube, just hit that little subscribe button so that we can hit the 10K mark, and that'd be really cool. But I've been able to grow really fast by putting in timestamps and also putting in the SRT files. So more on that a little bit later, but I just kind of want to give you a heads up of what this app currently looks like in this environment, which is pretty awesome. Big shout out to Rizal, Karim, Ray. I'm building demo Flutter app with it so far. I'm very impressed. All right, cool. So getting some first impressions. If you're going to be playing with this, definitely that's what's up. If you get drop the comments like me, this is let me cook. So we're going to be doing that type of thing there. So that's that. VibeStamps is kind of here. I have a light mode and dark mode, which is pretty awesome. And this is the SWE thing from basically from Winsurf and so forth. By the way, this is not sponsored or anything like that. It's literally just me taking a first look at this. And if you want to drop any comments, please feel free to do so. We're live on all platforms. So if you're checking it out on Twitch, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, pretty much everything. I'm trying to get, I need a certain amount of hours on TikTok, and then we're going to get that streaming on there as well in that vertical video format. And so we're really going to be rolling. So big shout outs, currently in Hawaii right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at this new update for this model, because it should really cook. Let me make my head a little bit smaller so I can get out of the way a little bit. So the first thing we want to look at is the model selection here. So with Cascade, they let you select the model. It says Claude 3.7. Now we can see the new SWE-1 right here, SWE Lite. And then I think those are the only models we see right now. And you can see because of being a pro user, you get that free. So we're going to go for like the highest tier model, SWE-1. And we're just going to start basically cooking with this type of thing. Yo, Josh tried coding, man. Welcome to the stream. So awesome. I love his videos. If you haven't followed Josh tried coding, amazing stuff. Now works at Upstash. Phenomenal developer. He's taught me a lot about Next.js. And super excited. I'm actually going to see if we can hook up Context7, which would be really interesting as an MCP server. And I think that uses Upstash as far as the backend so that our documentation can be nice and tight. And so I'm really curious to see how that's going to do as well, especially with MCP servers with the new SWE model. Let's just see how that's going to play out. You know, if we're doing some documentation, I'm going to be hooking up some authentication. I guess I'll tell you the plan in a little bit. I'm just really excited that everyone's kind of showing up. What do I think that OpenAI is going to drop tomorrow? I'm going to get into that a little bit later. We're going to get into that because there's a lot of hype right now on that. So we have the SWE model, and I'm just going to mess around with it right now. I'm going to say, chat, let me cook, and just to make sure this works. For whatever reason, my camera wants to keep doing this type of thing. I see you're working on a Next.js project. Oh, TypeScript and Tailwind CSS. The active file is route.ts, which appears to be in. So this is pretty cool. I just asked it a question. I'm just kind of testing out just to make sure the model is there. View response summary. So 0 credits, tool calls, and tool call summary, 0 files, 0 process. So if you're ever curious with Winsurf, you can hit this little, like what looks like cell phone bars, and it basically gives you a summary of how many tool calls you did if you're trying to keep track of kind of what's going on. And because the model's currently free, we could just pretty much YOLO, which I feel very comfortable doing, if you know what I mean. So yeah, cool. So that's just kind of that there. API routing help. And I like that it gives us new suggestions and stuff. By the way, I'm still use both. I use Cursor, I use Windsurf, and I'm looking at this just from a very subjective perspective. I used to work in the SWE organization at this fruit company that you may know of. And when I saw the word SWE, I was like, Winsurf, are you trying to take over? Are you trying to tell me something? Are you trying to take over some jobs here? Let's go. Okay. Enough of me yapping. Let's go start cooking. Okay. So the first plan that I want to do is right now, if you go to VibeStamps.com, yes, I own the domain. Basically, VibeStamps.com, you load it up, you'll see this. This is currently free. So anyone who goes here is basically using up my Google Gemini API credits. And yeah, I mean, I've had to pay a bunch of money for people who have been basically wanting to get timestamps. So I kind of want to use this latest update to see if we can use Clerk to add authentication on it. So clerk.com. So if you're not familiar, Clerk provides authentication. And the latest thing that Clerk provides is a new thing called, it's a new product called billing. And so the billing thing is currently in beta. And I thought, well, let's just see if we can add authentication to my app because there's currently no authentication. Anyone can use this. So we'll kind of see if we can walk through that. And then the second part we're going to do is add, the billing feature and enable that too. I just saw a video with Ross Mike, and he basically did billing in a couple seconds. But basically, you just click this little thing, has this little popover, and I should be able to charge people, like $4.99 a month or something, and they can use my app as much as they want to get timestamps. And then maybe I'll do a second premium tier, like, if you're like a content creator, maybe for like $12.99, you'll get the like transcriptions and so forth. But I will see how far we get. I feel like I should be able to do this in like 5 minutes to get the authentication up. But here is the challenge. I'm going to see how much can Winsurf take over this task. Is SWE going to be that good at planning? Let's just kind of push it to the limits, right? I mean, I feel like that's what we're here for. So yeah, that's kind of what we're working with. So we're going to add authentication to this, and I'm going to see how far it goes with this whole plan. All right, so let's just do that. So this is Winsurf. Let's go back to Winsurf here, friends. Okay. Clerk auth is really spendy once you get a lot of users. I mean, that's why you charge money, my friend. That's the whole point. Like, I'm a single person engineer. I'm not trying to like spin up a whole DevOps team and everything and not have to worry about CAPTCHAs and all these different regions and managing things. So now Cursor also cooked their own models. I don't know about that. So yeah, we'll see what's up. All right. So I think what I wanted to do is going to start a new chat, and we have the SWE model here, and I haven't used this for a while, so I want to see how good like the web search is. I'm going to probably give it as little as context as possible, but maybe I should give it some more. We'll see. I want to use Clerk for authentication. Actually, I use a thing called Whisperflow. I want to add Clerk authentication. So help me generate a little plan here and help me understand what web docs we need to add to secure my app so that I can have users sign in using Clerk. And so what's great about it is like, I don't really have to type it in. I just pretty much vibe like this. And I have the chat enabled and I want to see if I can get this going. So we're going to use the free, the SWE thing. And because we're pro users, we get that for free. So that's what's up. Josh tried coding. Yeah, man. Let me know if you need it. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome, man. I'm going to definitely hit you up. Vatina. Just set up my iOS dev workflow on Cursor. Quite neat, but the slow request is slow, especially for Claude. I'm wondering if Winsurf has any benefits over Cursor for the iOS dev workflow. I think, to be honest, they're low-key the same. You're probably going to have a lot better performance with Winsurf. And the SWE model is free right now. If you sign up for the pro account, I think it's like $15 a month or something. And you just use it as much as you want. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, but I'll kind of leave that up to you. Yeah, Xcode theme. I love the Xcode theme, right? Isn't it as good? This is my favorite theme. I mean, I have been seeing Xcode for a long time, so it just feels native to me. All right, so let's see what the plan is. So it basically searched my file system and it looked at my packages, which was awesome. And then now it says bun add Clerk. And so it's pretty cool. I didn't have to tell it that I had bun. It just already figured that out. That's really great. It even has to add the types and then create a new application in the Clerk dashboard, enter the secrets. Bro, it's like going through the documentation. This is really, really nice. Okay, this is cool. Previously, when I did this, it would totally struggle and totally fail. So would you like me to implement any part of this plan, or do you need help creating sign-in pages? Let me know what you'd like to tackle first. For some reason, I still like to do it by hand. And a lot of it is because I just want to make sure I stay up to date with the latest documentation. And if there's any documentation problems, I pretty much just report that directly to Clerk and say, hey, there's something going on with your documentation. All right, so we have dashboard here, and I think I have a dashboard. And I just want to make sure my pixelation blur stuff works. So let me just go ahead and see if I can get that going here. Yeah, this is awesome. So as part of my live stream, I have this cool thing that does like a blur pixelation. That way I don't like dox myself or dox my accounts. So I can do stuff in here and, just make sure I'm okay. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just hit create application. And I'm going to just kind of reveal a little bit of what this looks like now so that you can see it. So now that I'm here, this is a good way to do this type of thing and do this type of stuff. So we're going to call this VibeStamps. Okay. And then I'm just going to do email and Google because I think that's all we need right now. It's just really, really simple. So let's build your sign in. Okay. Create application. Wonderful. Cool. So now it basically sets it up with my accounts as VibeStamps free, and then it has my development configuration. And then the new thing that we talked about was subscriptions, which we'll get there soon. But first, we're just going to follow the actual flow here. So there's a quick start guide as a prompt LLMs to implement Clerk. So let's go ahead and copy that prompt. That's actually pretty awesome. So I think the prompt, let's just go ahead and create a new window. If I paste it in here. Well, hold up. This is kind of wild. Let's just kind of revisit this thing. So what we did was we can either follow all of the steps in here to implement Clerk, which is pretty cool, right? I mean, this is pretty easy to set up. Or we can just literally, like what I did, copy the prompt. So the quick start guide for the prompt is what I did. And I'm just going back to Winsurf. I mean, why not try this? I think, I mean, there's nothing that can go wrong. Before I do that, I want to make sure I create a branch though, because anytime I work with this type of code, especially when I'm changing these type of stuff, I want to make sure I have these different types of things here. So I'm going to go ahead and take branch, and I'm going to hit create new branch name called feature/auth. Okay. So basically hit enter to confirm, publish the branch. Cool. So now we're on basically a new branch. And so it's called feature/auth. And what's great about it is basically open on GitHub. I'll show you what this looks like. So any of the changes that we're basically doing on here are just going to be done in that branch. And so what happens in that branch, we have feature/auth. And whenever I'm done with my changes, I'll basically merge them back to main. And so that way I can continue to iterate and mess things up. And right now, because VibeStamps is currently live, any changes that I push will break it for everyone that's currently live. So by having it on a feature branch, it won't mess up my current deployment that's currently on the main type of thing. So for those of you who are doing deployments, that's just kind of the way that I manage them. And it's not that I manage it, but that's currently the way it's set up on Vercel. And I would highly recommend that type of configuration. So whenever you push to main, basically that's your production thing. And then whenever you're working on features, you have a feature branch and you can view that independently. And that way you can always kind of check what's going on in production. So FYI. Yeah, so that's kind of that there. All right, cool. So, all right, so we have add clerk. And I'm just going to browse through the rules real quick and just make sure that it's even giving it where to go. Okay, so now that we have stuff set up, we can just kind of vibe it, right? Outdated patterns to avoid. This is great. I'm going to go ahead and write. So let's just go ahead and send these instructions to implement auth, right? Do I need to add any additional instructions? Maybe I should, right? I think, or maybe not actually. I think let's just go. Hit it. I think this is gonna be the fun part. So now that we have the instructions going, let me just catch up with the chat a little bit. This is kind of like actually the fun part of vibing. So bun versus npm versus yarn versus any preferences on what the differences are. Yeah, that's a really good question. So I prefer to use bun because these guys have rewrote the entire stack from the ground up. So what they've done was basically they have, I think they rewrote everything and they're hooking directly into, so I guess let me kind of step back a little bit. So the biggest problem right now with NPM as a package manager is anytime you have a new project and you're installing node modules, it's going to keep those packages and the node modules in that directory and you start to kind of get bloated with space. So PNPM tried to fix that by saying, hey, we're going to do some file system level stuff. So if you have a package installed and you create a new repo, we can just create what they call like a symlink or an alias. If you've ever seen that, it's like having a folder and it's having like a sticky note saying, hey, the file is actually over there. So whenever you need that file, just go to that, directory and you'll be able to grab it. And so that's kind of like PNPM and like, as far as like package managing and stuff, there's like one step to kind of improve this type of thing. And so Bun is like, why don't we just rewrite everything from the ground up? And everyone looked at this dude named Jared, super crazy. And you're like, what do you mean? This thing has been here forever. And everyone who's tried to do this, it just took forever for them to do because no one was crazy enough to go down to the system level and figure out, what is the system actually doing to make the calls to, install these packages. And, when you have a performance engineer like that looking at the microscopic level, he just wants to fix everything from the ground up. So he started like 3-4 years ago and has made a ton of progress. And now it's basically, you can replace it as a package manager straight up, like just one-to-one, and that doesn't break, which is super duper impressive. And I prefer it. And he takes advantage of all this file saving stuff. So you don't have these files that are all over your file system. So Bun for me is just super fast, like ridiculously fast, file saving, and a whole bunch of other amazingness that they're all just rewriting. So yeah, that's my long spiel on Bun, but I feel like people got to know. Alex, late night cook, yo, that's what we're doing right now. Let's see what's going on right now. So it searched for the files. Let me check if Clerk is installed. No. Okay. So I'm going to run the command. Yes. Bun add. Okay. So now it's going to add my stuff for me. Great. All right. So now it's installing my packages, which is awesome. Cool. A blocked post install. Okay. That's fine. Okay. Now let's create the middleware. So now it's creating the middleware file. Do you want to change the default middleware for the Clerk auth for the protected routes? I think we'll take a look. Otherwise, your page routes won't be protected. Yeah, I'll see how this kind of works out. Kind of just following the steps as if like someone else is kind of new to this, and then you'll get to see me kind of work through the process. Because yeah, I feel like I have to always kind of throw out my previous expectations, especially when there's new models and new things, and kind of approach it as if like I was just playing around with AI today and I just left, my corporate job. It's like, what do you do? In their benchmarks, it is on par with 3.7 Sonnet. So it's good to confirm that. I think that'll be really interesting to see what they do. Why is it looking for auth buttons? So it looked at my layout, it edited the layout. Let's open the diff. So it's looking for the Clerk provider. Nice, it wrapped it. This is great. And then it tried to add auth buttons. I don't know why it needs auth buttons, but sure. Let's create an env local. You'll need to get these values from the dashboard. So if we go to env.local, okay. Convex deployment. Did I do a convex? I think I was experimenting with this. Oh, yeah, of course. I leaked the API key. I'll have to roll it now. Okay. Let me do that now while this is waiting. It's making the sign up and sign in buttons for me. Yeah, I guess that's not normally the way I do it, but yeah. Let's go ahead and insert these guys. Okay. All right, cool. Go to the Clerk dashboard, go to the API keys, paste them into env local, error while waiting, header. Okay, so now it's making a header layout thing for my VibeStamps. Okay, that's cool. I think what's nice about it is copying the prompt in instead of, it's like this prompt already has context, right? Because we created a new window, and the SWE agent from Winsurf already sort of has some context, which is really nice. So yeah, created a layout, and there's autofix on, which is cool. Fix my lints as well. That's awesome. And then error while editing this page. Oh, it's now creating like a dashboard page. Welcome to your dashboard. You're now signed in. Why are we doing that? Error while editing. Let's create the necessary directories. Ah, okay, cool. So now it's all done. Dang. Okay. Why do we need a dashboard page? I guess let me accept all and say, why do we need a dashboard page? I think I just want them to sign in and get to their account or get to the main page to upload the files. But let's just take a look and see. I think it's just going to say, let's see, bun dev. So Clerk has this thing where you can actually have the app running, but you don't necessarily need a key. Publishable key is not valid. Oh, I think I do have like a key in there, maybe. Okay, that's probably what it is. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going on. I might just do this view because this is probably better than looking at a big blurred screen. And that way you can kind of enjoy the vibes right now with like my flowers and like outsideness and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what's up. So let me go ahead and see if I can get some of these keys situated and everything for us. So appreciate everyone's patience. Yeah, if you've been coding with a model, well, basically what we're doing right now is taking a look at SWE-1. Yes, the latest model from Winsurf and kind of playing around with that. So I think the first thing I need to do is go to Clerk and get the keys and then console. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. This is going to take a little while. All right. How's the vibe? So far, we're just getting started. Nothing too crazy. I mean, it just seems to work like the other models. I've been able to, what I'm doing right now is getting my app called VibeStamps, which allows you to drag the SRT files, and it generates, from there, it just generates timestamps for your app. And what those timestamps do is basically they help you, let's see, access 3 days ago. And the timestamps really help your SEO if you have like YouTube videos or any content. And so whenever you search on Google, Google's parsing those timestamps that are in your in your file as far as like your description for YouTube. And that's what they use when like users are searching. So I don't know if you've ever searched for anything on YouTube and you take a look and you'll say like, or sorry, if you ever search for anything on Google, you'll take a look and they actually may even reference a YouTube video and it'll actually show the timestamp of the person talking about that specific things. So one of the ways that you can get traffic to your videos for free is to give it timestamps. And the other part is to actually give it SRT files. And the SRT files are these transcripts. So I made this app called Ray Transcribes, and that's why I made it, is because I wanted to get transcripts for all my videos. One is your transcripts are gold because you can convert them into blog posts. Two is that then they now become searchable by Google. And so Google then can find your videos and then promote them faster. And then three, while you wait for a week for YouTube to process your video, having those like transcripts and timestamps in the first like 48 hours gives you a huge boost for your videos, and you get this stuff for free because Google can now categorize what your video is about because you gave it those accurate timestamps. So yeah, it's kind of like a side quest there, but I felt like I had to kind of let y'all know about that. So right now I'm trying to see if I can take a look here. So, oh yeah, I'm going to my authentication stuff, and I'm also trying to, okay, so yeah, I need to get some keys, and I need to like update one of my keys here. So yeah, bear with me while I do this. I appreciate everyone kind of tuning in here, checking this out. So billing overview. You know what's really difficult is trying to understand where the Google stuff is too for the API keys. So like I'm in the Google billing overview and I could see my account, but I'm trying to roll the keys because, yeah, I mean, like that's just kind of like a pain actually. Gemini Cloud Assist, I think. Where can I roll my API keys? Okay. Oh, API and services, I think. Quick access. So credentials, great. Okay, so I have API key. I'm going to try to roll it. Yeah, so one of the plugins that I have typically on Cursor is this thing that it basically blacks out the keys. So even if I did something like where I exposed it randomly, at least I know it won't be in there. And so I'm trying to see if I can get this rolled in here. So Clerk Authentication. And then here we go. So it's going to say show key. Is this the right key? Yeah. So I'm going to revoke that key. So it's going to kill it in public, I think. No. Go 1RG or something. Yeah. Okay. And then I also have keys in different places, which is kind of strange. I know it's kind of like a backwards thing. So page not viewable for this project, select a project, Gemini API. Yeah, this is totally unintuitive. Wow, okay. That's interesting. And then I'm wondering what key I have in public. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, so for those who are just kind of tuning in, this is kind of a pain in the butt as far as like trying to get my keys set up and rolled in Google, because for whatever reason, they don't really do a really good job of exposing that. So I think if I do aistudio.google.com, and then in AI Studio, there should be a section to like get API keys. And then in here, okay, here's what I see. Hey, your ChatGPT lost memory and search old chats was implemented today. I've been using the ChatGPT memory stuff. I really can't read this right now. I think you're kind of, but I think, or it could be translated, but basically, yeah. It's the Cloak. Doom, that's what it is. It's the Cloak extension. So the Cloak extension, for whatever reason, isn't installed in Winsurf. So I need to get that installed. So that way you can black out the key. So I'm going to try to see if I can revoke my keys because I have a whole bunch of keys here. Can I get this one? Okay. Okay, I found it. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that key. Yes, delete. Great. So technically, if I do this key now, I just want to make sure the key is revoked. And then I can show you. All right, kids. So I apologize for all of that mix-up, but I just wanted to make sure I accidentally exposed my key and I had to go to the Google console. And so the fastest way for me to do it was aistudio.google.com. And then from there, there's a section to say, get your API keys. And they actually revealed it there, which is nice. And then I was able to revoke it. So if I go to VibeStamps.com, theoretically, if I go grab an SRT file again, it should error out. Yeah, it basically errors out silently. And so if I go to Winsurf, bundev, go back here. Okay. So, okay. So I already know that the key's revoked because I can't generate timestamps here. It keeps failing. And do we have anything in the console logs that show this? But yeah, I don't think I don't expose anything there publicly. But yeah, basically I revoked the key, and now anyone on VibeStamps can't use anything until I put a new key in there. So that to be determined. But on Clerk's dashboard, I need to grab those keys and put them into the environment variables as were defined in the documentation from Clerk. So yeah, let me go ahead and see if I can go ahead and do that. All right, so it might be even more fun to do this type of blur thing, which is kind of, that would have been easier to navigate because then you would have been seeing me kind of struggle through all the different API keys and madness here. So yeah, that's kind of how the thing looks like there. So as far as like usage and billing, you can see like the number of input tokens that have been going here, and you can see this graph going up and down. And so I can unblur this so that way you can probably see the coolness. So this is kind of, you know, what I was doing in the last 7 days. Basically, I think in the last 90 days, we can take a look. So yeah, there was a lot of people who used it. I think there was like one day where almost like 40 people used it, and then a whole bunch of things. And it kind of just slowed down as far as usage. I think people tend to like forget and stuff, and that's kind of what happens. But yeah, but because I leaked my key, like people who would be watching this would basically be able to like, you know, use the key for other things. So I didn't want that to happen because the models are really expensive now. So like we can take a look at like Google API key pricing, or Google API, Google Gemini Pro costs. So the developer pricing is, the Pro model is like now like pretty expensive now. So it's like $5 for, it's pretty crazy. Let's see. So not the Flash, but the Pro. So the Pro one, which is the one that I was using, it's basically over 200,000 tokens. It's like $2.50 per million. And then for the output price, you're basically looking at $10, you know, just for the output. And then $15 for more. So like this Pro model is really, 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 really good. But yeah, with my key leak like that, I mean, I can't be getting people like, you know, run up my bills and stuff. So we got to lock it down. So now that I'm glad I did that, you know what I'm saying? So, all right, so let me go back and see if I can get a key from Clerk to, in the setup area, they actually have this little thing here, which will basically say, get your Clerk API keys. So if you click this little eyeball, that's actually where it will reveal it. And then if you hit this little copy little thing here, that's where you'll see the where you're able to get this, copy it and paste it back into the place that you need to do it. So could you add caching to help you save on the API costs with this project, or no? No, unless the people re-upload the same one, I don't think it makes any sense to cache it. And then how long would I cache it and invalidate it? I feel like keeping it simple is pretty straightforward. And if I just charge a flat monthly fee of like $5 a month or something, the people who would need it would just use it a whole bunch of times. I doubt, I mean, they could use it as much as they want. I don't know. I don't even know if $5 a month is even the right price, considering how good the model is and whatever the input and output is. But I feel like I need to bundle a bunch of features together to really make it worthwhile. Or just set some type of threshold, but we'll see. We'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. Let me get this API key over into Winsurf real quick. And let me also see if I can get Cloak installed too. So, okay, so now that I have these keys, I'm going to paste it in here. So that should be revealed there. Okay. Okay, so now if I go back into here, I just want to make sure now we're vibing. Oh, okay. Okay. All right, let me go back to Winsurf and make sure these aren't going to show up again. Okay. Let me, and also make sure the Cloak thing. So extensions, Cloak. Is Cloak not installed? It is installed. I don't know why it's not working though. Search for Cloak, click reload, press F1, type Cloak, hide secrets. Okay. Press F1 in open the command palette. Let's see. Command palette, Cloak, hide secrets. Okay, let me go back to env local. Oh, toggle to, okay. There we go, fam. Yeah, thank you, Doom. You came in clutch there. I totally forgot to do it. Okay, so here we are. Friends, Thank you, Doom. Huge shout outs to Doom, by the way. I think Doom, I think you're on X, right? Or Doom 7 or something. You are the real MVP. You could also do token. Yeah, we'll kind of see what's up. There's this extension called Cloak, and this is really only for people who live stream like me. You can download this extension, and basically you can enable the Cloak, and you basically go up here and just type in, it'll say toggle auto cloaking at the very top here, and that's kind of where you're able to see the cloaking thing and have it enabled so that you don't accidentally reveal the tokens like the way I did. So yes, okay, so now we're good. I'm not on X, but thanks. I just watched you on here. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I think I've seen probably your comments and stuff, so definitely appreciate it. All right, so let me kind of get rid of this type of thing real quick and kind of move on from this here too, and make sure that the Google thing, I guess while I'm here, I might as well just generate a new Google key and put it in, so that way we can just actually have the app that works. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit create API key. Okay, search Google Cloud projects. Which cloud project did I use? Transcribes. Okay, create key. Okay, create key in this project. You can't see it, it's pixelated because I don't want to reveal the key again by accident. So that's kind of why you don't see it right now. And then I'm going to go over into Winsurf and go to my environment.local and then turn off the auto cloaking, paste the key in here, save it. And that should be good. And then I'm going to quickly go into my Vercel environment while I'm here because I'm doing secret stuff, and then redeploy. Maybe I don't think I'll redeploy the app yet, but I'll just have the secret in there. So when it does do a deployment, it'll have everything in here. So VibeStamps, yeah. Totally hear you. These AI coding bugs can sometimes be extremely frustrating. I built a custom MCP to have a powerful LLM to code review for the other AI generated code. Yeah, Pranay, there is an interesting thing that I want to check out in a different video where I'm going to try to see, because there's this thing called background agents in Cursor, and we're going to take a look at that too. So before I do that, let me just make sure I can update my environment variables, which have my new Google API key. So I'm going to hit edit and paste the new key in here, hit save. Now it's in all of my environments. I'm going to just copy something random just so I don't accidentally paste it back in. And I think we're good. Cool. So all right, cool. That was easy. I made sure everything else here is gone. All right, cool. All right, so we should be set now. Let me just double check everything before. Let me turn off the cloaking again. Okay, so that way I'm going to get rid of this env.local, and then we're done with the secrets part, which is kind of cool. Okay. So here we are, friends. Overlay locked. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. All right, cool. Sweet. Okay. Yeah, totally hear you. We're back. All right. So we're back, and I'll show you what happened. So Winsurf now, just catching up for folks who are just dropping in and kind of been bearing with me. What we're doing is we're updating my app called VibeStamps. And for anyone who's just joined right now, we're taking a live look at Windsurf's latest release in this Wave 9, and we're looking at the SWE model. And the SWE model, we're using it to add authentication to my app called VibeStamps. And so what we're doing here, the goal is to see if we can actually, right now, anyone can use the app. They can drop in an SRT file and generate timestamps for their YouTube videos. And so we're going to try to see if we use Clerk for authentication and see how good the SWE model is to actually implement the Clerk authentication. Previously, when we did this, maybe like several months ago, it would go all over the place and it would not really follow the documentation. Winsurf has done tons of improvements for their web search, for their documentation, and for whenever you use Cascade now, it's going to go out to the web. And they also have a bunch of documentation that they themselves have indexed to reference and do the stuff. And so with SWE, it's supposed to be even better at planning and doing these other types of agentic tasks that we need as software engineers beyond just generating code to help us with this. And so with that promise, what better task to do this on something that we can use in our app, which is setting up authentication, right? And what better way to vibe authentication is to use an existing provider that has a YC. I don't know if it's YC, but it has venture funding behind it so that we don't accidentally vibe our security out to, to the wrong people. You know what I mean? We're still doing that, but be that as it may, this is a great litmus test for this model. Okay, so I created it created a dashboard page, and I was kind of wondering why I did it, but I think we're going to see why it really did. So if I go to my local host and I refresh, what it did is it created this header file for us called VibeStamps on top, and now it has a home, has a sign in and sign up. So if I do sign in, now it's going to actually ask me to sign in to VibeStamps, which is literally the thing that we just created not long ago. And then if I hit sign up, now we can sign up to create an account. Isn't that crazy? This is so cool. So if I select an SRT file and I select one, I don't know if it's going to allow it to generate the timestamps now. See, it still generates the timestamps. And so the reason why it's probably doing that, I don't have any actual timestamps in here. That was process another file. I'll show you one that's a real file. This one, yeah, this one should be it. Yeah, there's a bunch of entries in here. So here it is generating the timestamps for one of my videos that I just released today. And we have these new buttons, which is cool. So it takes us home, takes us to sign in. So we can sign into an existing account or create a new account, and it's using Clerk. So it did that for us basically using the copy prompt function there in Clerk's documentation, which is really awesome to set up this repo. So now what I need to do is say, hey, users are still able to generate timestamps. I want you to make sure that it can, protect that. But before we do anything, now that we've made it this far, I want to go ahead and commit the changes and make sure that we're okay. Because I feel like anything we do from here is kind of like, making all the other fixes. So one of my favorite things now that Winsurf has that I loved about Cursor is this generate function. So I hit generate, and it's going to generate the commit message for us that we need. I'm going to make sure I stage all the changes, and it says integrate Clerk authentication with protect dashboard route. So now that this stuff has changed, I'm going to hit commit. I'm going to go ahead and sync the changes. So now my remote is going to have my feature auth branch. Now we'll have those changes, and we're all set. That's pretty cool, right? So I don't think I need this thing anymore about why does it have a dashboard page. I think what I'm going to just tell it is now basically kind of fix up some other things. So I want to say that my route, okay. When I load my web page, a user is still able to upload their timestamps, or not timestamps, their SRT file, and use my API. I actually want to protect that so that users will have to create an account or sign in to get started with that. I do want to keep it as intuitive as possible, because right now when a user does that action, maybe we can have something that just makes it saying, click here to sign up or something like that. This is also the landing page and everything, and I'm not sure if we should create one or not. So I'm just I give it a bunch of mixed up instructions, just kind of free-forming my thought. It's not really clear to me what I should be doing here, but what I'm going to go ahead and do is copy this and go ahead and start a new conversation, because oh, that's awesome. It just keeps, when I hit start a new conversation, it kind of moves over the thing so you don't lose it. That's really smart. And so I'm going to hit chat, and basically I'm going to have this little conversation to kind of help me think through this process on what I should be best doing. So above was my random generated process. I want you to help me refine this by reviewing the code in my repo and come up with a quick plan that we can figure out how to implement so that my routes are protected using Clerk authentication. Users are able to create new accounts. There's a new billing feature in Clerk that we're going to eventually add, but I just want to make sure everything's protected before we move forward. Okay, so then now that I have that, I'm using WhisperFlow, by the way, and I have a referral link that you can use. I find that so amazing to basically type this. I don't have to type anymore. I just literally just tell it this type of stuff, and it moves forward really fast. So yeah. Let me catch up with the chat a little bit while it's kind of helping us generate a plan. And so one of the things that I used to do is I used to use O3 or a Claude Sonnet, a go to the web, and I would literally dump these instructions in to try to see if I can generate either a PRD or something that could be insightful that can help us. But now, since I'm already in the code base and it's free for pro users right now, why not take advantage of it, right? Why not chat in Winsurf And the Windsurf SWE model is supposed to actually be really good for helping us do the code and planning. And we're watching it cook right now. It's kind of exciting, to be honest. It's like self-generating a plan. The reason why I hit chat instead of write is because I want to review this plan. I don't want it to necessarily go in and write all the changes. So it's proposing changes, and I don't even know if it's actually writing the file. It's just kind of reading everything here. And so let's catch up with the chat a little bit here. So, and that's been open source. Others have AI coding. Okay. Oh, I see. For the MCPs. I love that CodeRabbit now released code reviews extension for free in VS Code. What? Not sure if you've, yes, I have heard of CodeRabbit. They actually reached out to me before a lot of people started posting on social media, and they didn't reach out to me. Actually, someone that works as a marketing person that they contracted with. At first, it low-key looked like a crypto scam because the person only had crypto stuff on his thing. And I actually just wrote CodeRabbit off. I was like, can you just have the CEO reach out to me? I don't even know if this is a scam or not. So the CEO reached out, and this is like, no, it's not a scam. And I was like, and they wanted to work with me to get something to be reviewed or something in the next couple of days. It's like, that's not how I work, bro. I don't get rushed. I want to look at products, and I don't like right now. I don't really take sponsorships, or people don't pay me to look at their stuff. I try to genuinely look and see, is this something that's really interesting, right? Like if you are in my Discord and you send me a link, hey, Ray, check this out. I'm going to check it out because you are with me and you mess with me. You're kind of on the same vibe. So when companies reach out, like a lot of people reach out, and sometimes I have time to look at it. Sometimes I don't. Or if I look at it, I could say, oh, this can actually help me in my workflow. Because of that weird interaction, it kind of just, dropped and stopped, didn't really look at them. But I've been seeing a lot of people talk about them, and would be interested to kind of look into them again, probably in a little bit later, because I'm also looking at Devon right now too. So that's a really interesting one. I have not very dependable. Okay. I've tried a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. Lack of context. Yeah. I think that's a really big deal. Cool. Are you incognito when you try to generate? I don't think so. Yeah. Ray, can you shortly tell us about Convex and why you like it / use it versus Superbase and Neon? Yeah, let me get into that a little bit, Lars. I kind of want to move this along a little bit and then kind of get to a stopping point where we can talk a little bit about Convex and databases and other things, and so forth. So, and I'm still experimenting with all these databases. By the way, I'm not like Convex seems to be one I keep going back to like a boomerang. And so, yeah, just kind of FYI. Let's see. So the plan so far is, I'm going to expand this out so I can read this, and just so that it's kind of a little bit more legible. So what I did is just like I said, I had these random ideas. Let's go ahead and just have you take a look and analyze things. So it wants to help. The implementation plan is to create a protected wrapper component. So this component checks if the user's authentication. If not, show a sign-in prompt. If yes, render the protected content. Okay, that makes sense. Replace the homepage. Replace the direct SRT uploader with a protected wrapper. Move the upload functionality into the protected space. That makes sense. Enhance the user experience. Show a clear sign-in prompt when users try to access the uploader. Provide a seamless sign-in flow. Okay. So then it now searches my file system for these patterns to look to see what I have. So it looks to see if I have like a protected page. And so this is kind of what the page would look like. So it looks like it creates a protected.tsx and wraps everything around it. And so I think what I want to do is kind of push back on this plan and say, isn't this something that Clerk really specializes in as far as protecting my routes and things? And do I need to create this component, or is it something that I can use Clerk's existing system for this? So I think I'm going to push it to do that. Let's update the main page to our user new protected components. And so I think I might just tell it that because it's going down this route, and I'm not actually really sure. So this is going to be really helpful for this. So I like this type of conversation. So since we're using Clerk for our authentication provider, and can you look up on the web some of the things that they do? Because I feel like we don't want to rewrite code. We want to be as efficient as possible. And Clerk may already provide the infrastructure we need for this. So less code will be easier to maintain. It'll be really clean. And if Clerk already does this, why do we want to repeat these things? And so let's go ahead and see if I could do that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to let it do its thing here. You're absolutely right. I don't know. See, this is another thing too. Like, is this specific to the model, or you know what I mean? Like, are they like glazing me right now? You know, like, I don't know. I feel like, yeah. See, it's referencing Next 13. Why? You know, like search clerk.com. Yeah. Okay. Created an outline. This is where I think Context7 could be really interesting, right? And I might just set that up. And I might just start a new conversation where we kind of have that type of thing. I can see that it can simply simplify by leveraging its built-in features. There's Auth middleware instead of Clerk middleware. And I think that's the older one. Yeah, these are the older instructions. Dang, son. Yeah, I use Context7 a lot. Yo, let's get this set up right now. I think we need that because I don't want to go in this like circle when I could have just been using it from the get-go. So yeah, let's do that. Context7 MCP server. And we'll see how easy it is to set up an MCP server right now in Winsurf. So that way we have that going. Okay. So Context7, what does it say that we need to do for getting started? So installing via Smithery or installing Cursor or installing Winsurf. So as far as Winsurf, add this to the config file. Is it just as simple as that? Copy. Damn, son. Install in Claude Code. Install this Claude desktop. Using Docker. Configure your MCP client. Install in Windows. Minimum tokens. That's it? Okay. I mean, is it like that easy? Winsurf. We go to the MCP. We go to configure. Help me install this. MCP servers, Context7. I mean, I could install it myself, I guess. But that's why I want AI to do this. Okay, so it's literally just this Context7. Right? Okay. Save. Refresh. Am I doing it right, fam? Yeah, I did. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so let's go back up on this whole concept, and let me just go back to the different beginning here. So I have this nice chat, and I have this like whole dump of thoughts. I want to just revert completely back here, and I'm going to now tell it to use Context7 to see if it can find this documentation, right? So revert, confirm, and I'm going to say, be sure to use Context7 to look up the Clerk documentation for protecting our routes and not having to write all these extra stuff. I don't know. I guess that's the way to say it. Okay, so let's go ahead and see. This is exciting. This is really exciting. Okay, I'll help you implement the authentication protection for your SRT. And so let's just take a look. Context7. Is it? Search the semantic code base. Okay. So we're watching the SWE model now in action because we're using the SWE-1, and it's currently free for a limited time. And it's basically just checking for all the different files it needs to use to implement. So yeah, this is awesome, man. Thanks for doing this. Very fun to watch in real time. Yeah, I'm serious, bro. Like sometimes it's just like, I haven't done it in Winsurf, so it's kind of actually really easy to do. But if you don't know, you could just tell them. So because it's free, so okay, sign up for Pro, it's free. Dude, I feel like if you use more than 500 requests in a day, I mean, because you get that for a month, I think on Cursor. I mean, I would just load this thing up. I mean, this is like a really, really good deal right now. And it's actually really good. I mean, you're seeing how good it is right now as far as a model. So that's what's up. All right, let's see. Okay, so add authentication checks to the SRT uploaded component, show a sign-in prompt, ensure that we're doing the changes, proposed edit, looking clean. Interesting how it's saying this request is taking longer than expected. I've enhanced the uploader component to include authentication checks. show a sign in. Oh, I'm not using app or TSX layout, which you mentioned is already done. Okay. So I don't think I said it's done. Can you walk me through the flow of how this will work? Because I think that's what we were trying to define earlier, as far as like what happens when a user gets there and they are not authenticated and they haven't created an account. We want to have a nice, clean and easy way for them to get started or create an account. If they are already signed in and they've already created an account, we should just show the uploader that was there before so they can continue that. Obviously, we should be able to check whether they have created an account and have signed in. And be sure to use Context7. Let's see if that makes any sense. Oh, it says Context7. CONTEXT7. Okay. All right, let's see. So let me go back to this Context7 thing just to make sure we're kind of understand what we're doing here. So it says up-to-date documentation for LLM and code editors. So whenever I say like Clerk, so it has Clerk and it has a Clerk documents, and the update was like a week ago. So basically you can go in here and just search for like protect, and this will tell us everything about protecting routes, protecting content in role Next.js. So the MCP server will actually send instructions. And this is what, if it says protect and it's sending it to Context7 for this type of Clerk thing, this is kind of the return it'll get back, which would be pretty cool. So this is actually helpful for building out the context, which basically makes it a lot smarter. So Context7 it should be pretty cool here as far as what we need to do. So what's it doing now? Let's see. The request is taking longer than expected. Okay, so I think it's actually implementing code right now. So we have, let me clarify the authentication flow and how we can improve it. I'll first check the current setup and outline the proposed flow. Let me check the current authentication buttons or understand how the sign-in is currently handled. This is great. So this is the SWE model going through with Winsurf and trying to really understand what our code is doing, which is really nice. So it's kind of building that context for itself. And then let me check the current dashboard page. So it checks the page and it's checking like, hey, you have a welcome to, let me check the current sign-in page to understand your current authentication flow. So I'll help you create a smooth authentication flow for your application. Here's a clear plan for the user journey. So this is nice because now I'm just reviewing the plan. And it wasn't really clear for me when I first started this project how I should kind of have this flow. And so now we have an unauthenticated user. So the first person who's visiting, the user lands on the homepage. They see a welcome screen. When they try to upload a file, they interact. A clear sign up modal appears using that. They can choose to sign up or sign in. After authentication, they return to the uploader. Returning user returns to the site, sees the same welcome message, but with personalized touch, can quickly add authentication. Okay, so I think the only thing that I would improve is we should just have a create account button instead of just showing the SRT uploader, because that would feel more sincere as far as the current state of the app. And that way incentivizes users to start creating an account to get immediate value. I think that's the only thing I would improve there. And so we're going to let it kind of iterate on that plan there. And then here's some code as far as like what it wants to propose. So it's going to create the SRT uploader component to implement this flow. And it's going to say, welcome to VibeStamps. So that's pretty cool. Unauthenticated users first visit, welcome screen, sign up process, returning user. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, this is a better experience overall. And now it's actually going to be doing that instead. This is great. Okay, so now, all right, so now I can say write, and I could say, please implement the entire plan above. And then I want to make sure, yeah, we don't have anything committed. Entire plan above. Okay. Go. So it should start implementing the code for us, which would be pretty cool. Like, it's kind of cool to like make the feature as we go. And this is kind of what I was thinking the SWE agent would be really good at, which it is like planning and going through and using the different parts of Winsurf to grab the necessary files and context. And then for us, we also added the MCP server, which is kind of part of this whole process too. As an engineer, if you don't have the right documentation, getting the documentation is really helpful. So it's just kind of seeing how it does this is really fascinating right now, actually, for me. Let's see here. Did my app freeze? Oh. Okay. Oh, I see. I think I have an issue with the command one. Yo, can y'all see me? Okay, let me just drag this over here. Okay. Oh, I think I know what's going on. Is it command one? No? Command two? Let me just make sure this is all working here. My bad. Okay. I see what's going on. Okay. Well, I have an issue, I think, where, yeah, overlay. I'm not able to see all the different. Okay. As long as we're still live, we're good. I don't know how I'm going to be able to end the live stream though, because there's a bug right now in my app where I can't really see where the stream is live right now and what number of users are, but it looks like I'm still live. And I think I'm still getting comments in. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I think everyone's still out there, right? Yeah, I'm just double checking. Okay. Oh yeah. Jeremy, I switched from Cursor to Winsurf some time ago, but never heard of the Context7. We'll be installing that this morning for sure. Context7, that, I mean, you saw how many documentations they have on there. It's absolutely insane. So super fire. Yeah. Thanks, Jeremy. This is awesome. Thanks everyone for tuning in while I go through these types of things. So please implement the entire plan above. So we were in write mode and it says open diff. So it basically created the new sign in buttons and stuff that we needed. And then went down here, down below. I'm just going to move this to the side. I'm going to kind of tuck this away a little bit. And so it looks like it rendered the updater interface to, if it has content, to drag and drop. Otherwise, then we're just going to show the different file. And then the SRT uploader, same thing. Yeah, that's the one we looked at already. And then as far as authentication flow, accept all, I think, did we ever implement this? I'm going to hit apply. Did we accept all there? And then what other one did we want to apply here? Apply. Did we do that? Accept all. Cool. And then what else? Proposed edit. Did we do this one too? Okay. I think that's all the code that we did. Apply, accept all, right? And then we wanted to do something else like this. Yeah. Oh, I think I'm basically applying them backwards, but I just want to make sure they're all applied. And then here, what are we doing? On drag, no credit card required. Hit up, accept all. And then open the diff for the sign in button. I just want to make sure that this files that they're talking about. Is this SRT uploader? Okay. Yeah, that's okay. That's open the diff, open the diff. Okay. That's a lot of stuff. Let's see if we can just run it and see what this looks like. Refresh. This is awesome. Wow. Oh, I see. This thing's kind of off to the side, but we'll fix that in a little bit. So now my homepage should be something like this. I don't know about you guys, but this feels a little off, right? Is it just me? Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. Oh, I know why it's off, because of this whole thing up here. It's not vibing like it used to. Anyways, that could be fixed. So now it says, I'm going to do the dark mode. And You see the clouds that are moving? I have these little clouds that move with my whole app. This is pretty awesome, actually. And so create timestamps in seconds, sign in to start creating timestamps for your videos instantly, create for your account, already have account, sign in, no credit card required. That's cool. Create for... This is awesome, actually. Let me see if I can kind of get this going here. I'm going to go ahead and sign into Google. I'm going to sign into my account here. And yes, I want to choose this account. Please sign in. I want to continue. Yes, they're signing in with Clerk. Are we going to be in, fam? Nice. Okay. Awesome. Okay, cool. This is great. So now we're signed in. We have a whole dashboard over here, and it has my email account, manage account. This is amazing. Wow. So we're basically signed in now, and we should be able to select a file like this and just tell it to go generate the transcripts. There we go. That's awesome. Holy smokes. Totally cool. Wow. Dude, Winsurf cooks, man. Let's go. Okay, so now if I sign out, it didn't, well, it still keeps this. I guess that's okay, right? No. Go home. It keeps the state. It should clear the state out. So sign in. So let me go ahead and I think maybe I have to make that feature work. But as far as like a first step to like make sure that we're protected, it seems to be working okay. So I'm basically signing back in and here we are with my account. That's cool. So I think there's an edge case here that we hit, which is basically when we already have the timestamps, we need to add another condition for that React component to check to see if we're still signed in. And if we're not signed in, to kick it back out, if you know what I mean. But other than that, hey, like the first step kind of works. Obviously, we have some UI bugs, and this is kind of ugly. I don't really like this header type of thing. So I'll find a better, more low-key way to kind of hide this. I really don't need VibeStamps or timestamps, and I could probably find some better ways to put these buttons somewhere else. But I mean, it's a good little first step as far as implementation. So what I want to do is test this sign out button. Yeah, this is cool. So if I hit create free account, that's so awesome. So theoretically, if I hit create account and I already have account, it should already resolve it. So let me just make sure that step still works there too. So it's going to choose account. It's like, yeah, it already, dude, that's what's nice about Clerk. It's so good. This is so good. This is so good. So fast. All right. Damn. Wow. Mission accomplished. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, sign out. This is great. We got light mode, dark mode. Brilliant. Brilliant. Awesome. Okay. So that's Winsurf in a nutshell. What I'm going to go ahead and do is commit this type of thing, hit generate. And so let's go ahead and review our diff real quick. So our diff is this, just kind of getting stuff out of the way. Oh no. Okay. So let's just look. So what we did was we hit the sign in button and we said use auth from Clerk. And then let me move my head. That way I have myself out of the way, and then you can kind of see what I'm reviewing basically. What we're doing is we have a thing called signed in and use auth. And so we're doing that check before we upload the file to make sure that the user signed in. And then here we're saying on drag. So like if a user does try to drag it, we still check to see if they're signed in. Otherwise, we're going to just throw this error. And then here we basically render an uploader for if there is content to like upload the file. And if it doesn't have content, you know, it'll say process another file, drag and drop your SRT here. And then we actually render the sign up prompt for unauthenticated users. So how do we check that? It says render sign up prompt. And where is that check done? Let's see, create timestamps in seconds. Okay, so here in the card context, if the user is not signed in, we call this render sign up prompt function. And it says if it doesn't have content, we just render the uploader. So, okay, so render sign up prompt, this is the actual React component that describes, that's why we see that and saying, hey, create timestamps in seconds. And then start creating, and remember all that text that we saw there. This is basically where it's at and what it added for us. Kind of really simple, actually, to be honest, just to add this for the authentication. It's a pretty small change, which is nice. So we auth gated the file upload. And then, so another thing that we want to do is in this type of authentication scheme, this is done on the client side. So that's basically in the browser when the website loads, we have protections here to show to the user that things are working correctly. But a malicious user can say, hey, I know that you have to talk to a server to send your file up to do things. I'm going to take a look and see what what calls the website is making after I'm signed in to see like where that endpoint is to see if I can go talk to it. And so we need to add checks into that area to make sure that like if someone's trying to talk to it and they're not from my app on the actual client, that we should not really allow them to do that. And so typically that's handled in Clerk through a middleware file. That can be vulnerable to attacks or maybe whatever types of things. The secondary thing that we can do is go directly to the server code itself and saying, hey, if you're getting any inputs, let's just do another check on Clerk to make sure that this person is who they say they are. And that should be, theoretically easy for us to do. So when you're thinking about authentication, you always want to think about client-side stuff and also stuff that's happening on the server. Server has a couple different entry points. One of them for Next.js is middleware, which is pretty popular for Clerk. And some authentication things. And the other part is like where in the server code, like your route handler is a popular thing, or if you're using a server action, when the actual code is going into the server there, make sure we're going to be protecting those things. So just want to give you an FYI. I'm going to commit these changes and to make sure that they're basically up there so we don't lose them, and then kind of move forward from there. So vibing through implementing Auth scares me. But this is fire. The thing I'd add is some way to check the auth is in general implemented correctly by checking the example. We were signing in, but I just know from experience that, I didn't know this stuff, right? I'm still new to Next.js. I'm still new to TypeScript. Obviously I used to work as an engineer, but like whenever you're new to some programming language, I do encourage people to play and try to look through the code. And you can see the importance of learning how to code can really help you kind of like understand like something doesn't feel right. And because we have because I have pro access right now, I can ask as many questions to the SWE model. So I'm just gonna use this thing as much as possible, to be honest. How's SWE-1 so far compared to LLMs like Gemini 2.5 Pro in real time? It's kind of actually a different experience, to be honest. The experience to me feels like the integration, like Winsurf as an app with the language model. Like before they used to be decoupled. It's like you can replace these language models and things, but now the tooling and everything is really starting to blend together. And we're kind of starting to see that right now, which is probably why it's really important why they call this thing SWE, because SWE basically describes the software engineering practice and workflows that you need to do to ship software. So beyond generating the code, there's still a whole other life cycle of things that you need to accomplish. So if you're any corporation, any discipline in software, you need someone to QA test. You need a project manager to do some planning and cycle back to make sure the requirements are met. You need, to fix bugs and plan those types of features as well. You need, as an engineer, you need some way to look up, documentation and making sure that you're implementing things correctly. And like the cycle kind of repeats over. You work with a designer, with a design system and implementing that. Then that there's like a whole feedback loop. But basically, I would say the trifecta is you have like a design and engineering team, like a designer. You have a project manager and you have like the engineers. If you have those three, you can ship software that's really high quality. And that's pretty much the formula I've seen in a lot of big companies and even small companies. If you just need those three hats. You need a designer, an engineer. You need someone, design, engineer, like project management, quality, in that like little three space. So those three stools or three columns should be like really important in your life cycle. And the LLMs by themselves, to evaluate them for generating code is only one part of that greater perspective. And seeing the way that Winsurf is working right now, if this is the worst it's ever going to be, it's so freaking good. Um, like I'm really happy about the way this direction is going, and I think they've done a really good job of trying to decide that like this is the workflow they're going to tackle. And like as an engineer, because I'm solo, I don't want to build a big team. I just want to be me and like maybe another person, you know, a designer or someone, and then maybe someone who works in the quality space. If three of us go ham using Winsurf, you know, just like this, I mean, you're really going to cook. It's so good. So that's kind of what I'm really excited about, if you know what I mean. So just FYI. Okay, so we implemented it. We have the thing there. And I think the other thing we want to do is, I wonder if would you like me to make any additional adjustments? So let me just go ahead and review the file that I was talking about. So in the route file, I say, let's go ahead and make sure that we have protections in our route handler, because we want to make sure that the user is who they say they are, basically. I'm going to hit enter. So we're just going to YOLO this. I did write mode. And so I'm curious to see how this is going to handle, because we've built a context for quite some time and it's still somewhat related. So I'm kind of trying to push the model here to see how, like, is it going to barf because there's too much context? Is Winsurf going to do whatever it needs to do? This is a really good test to see how it's really working, you know, in terms of like pushing the limits for Winsurf itself, the model. Like, is it the model that's really working, or do they have some other stuff that's underneath the hood that's kind of running in parallel to kind of get us across that finish line there? So yeah, there's a lot of different things that are moving parts that are going on here, but we're already seeing a bunch of results up here. So that's pretty cool. Why is it using upstash Redis? Oh man, let's see what's going on. No. I'm going to reject. I'm going to stop. Okay, so I'm going to revert the changes because I'm already seeing it do something wrong. So I think confirm. Yeah. I want to make sure that we are still using the Clerk library with Context7 MCP. Context7 MCP. Okay. So for those who don't know, we have that MCP server set up. Let me copy. Yep. Okay. Cascade's done. Okay, let's just say there used to be a way of, I mean, it was up here showing us what MCP servers were set up, but maybe I have to set up a new window. I don't know. Yeah, so this looks like it's about to do something right. So the reason why I stopped it is because it was trying to set up like a rate limiter with upstash, and I may not need it for this route file. Because if we're using Clerk is going to be the one that's going to be hit first and saying, hey, I think we're doing a middleware check, and it's going to hit Clerk, and Clerk's going to be like, yo, this is a bot or something like that. So because they kind of have their own infrastructure for this. So that's kind of what I'm really relying on. Model produced an invalid tool call. What's the tool call that I was trying to do? Interesting. Route. All right. Ray, possibly create a Winsurf rule creating. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. I think that's a really good idea. Yeah, I'm really curious about that. That'd be really interesting. There's a couple of ways, because I don't always want it in every context. Like, I don't always want to build unnecessary context, but I want to also see if the MCP server is going to go for it or not. Maybe, yeah, let's define one. I think this is a really good idea. Let's try to figure this out. So yeah, it's saying it's taking longer than expected. I do have a Winsurf rules here. And I think what I'll do is create a new chat after this finishes and see if we can use it. The thing that I find funny is I no longer see my MCP servers listed, because they used to be listed up here, unless they went away somewhere, but I don't think so. Plugins, yeah, okay. Oh, let's go see. Create generative language model? No, we don't need that. Let me fix the duplicated imports. Bro, I think it's going off the rails, to be honest. Not gonna lie. We already have this. Okay. Add options for course pre-flight. Okay, we don't really need all that. Okay. What I might do is just open up a new chat and see how I can ask Context7 to look up the Clerk documentation on how we should implement the route handler protection. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop this. And I'm going to go ahead and hit revert, reject. Reject all. Okay. All right. That's why we make these commits and stuff. So I don't know what this is. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and hit discard changes. Yes. I'm going to go here, hit discard changes. Yes. Discard file. Oh no. Did I get rid of the wrong? Okay, cool. All right. So what I'm going to do is just going to go ahead and create a new thing, and I'm going to go ahead and chat. And then I want to make sure our MCP server is up. I don't see. Oh, it is up. Okay, cool. So the Context7 is here. So I want you to look up the Clerk documentation using Context7, and I want to protect my route to make sure that my authenticated users are allowed to use this route. I'm basically protecting this so that someone who's malicious won't take advantage of this. And I'm going to give it the this here. And okay, it's Context7, the Clerk documentation. Okay, so I'm going to just have a chat, and we're still using the SWE model, and it looks like we still have this MCP server here, and so we're just going to let it go. There. So this is the code. Let me help you find. I'll use okay. Yes. Continue. I don't know why it stopped. That's so weird. What is going on? Confirm? Okay. I want you to protect use and then use Context7 to look up the Clerk docs. I don't know. Let's see. I'm just kind of like rearranging this because I'm really not sure what's going on here, but hey, that's why we do these types of things. Let me look up let's. What is SWE-1? I'm not up to date. Yeah, let me get you updated. Oh, this is awesome. So it's library name Clerk. Okay. Nice. Okay, here's Context7. It found the SDK Go. No, that's not the library we want. We want the Next.js. Oh my gosh. Okay, Clerk docs. I think this is kind of throwing it for a loop, to be honest. It may not actually do the right thing that we want. Is it doing it? Here, I'll help you secure your route. Add authentication check. Yeah, Eric, let me kind of get you caught up a little bit on, for those who are just tuning in. I can't really see who's live or how many people I have on each platforms. So my apologies, because I have a bug right now. I'm not even sure how I'm going to end the stream with this, but we'll figure this out as well. So for those who are just wondering, what do we have going on right now? So Winsurf has just released Wave 9. So Wave 9 has just come out, and this new thing called SWE-1. They basically have three classes of models, basically large, medium, and small, right? So mini, slight, and SWE. And so we're looking at the main model here, and it's supposed to be really good at planning. And so far, so good. I mean, I'm really liking it so far. It's been really, really nice about connecting and better understanding what you're trying to do in the repo. Much, much better than previous releases. And it's really powerful when you're starting to add documentation and these long-running planning tasks, which is what we're doing right now. So we're kind of keeping it very lightweight still. I mean, we're using Clerk for authentication, and in a couple shots, we're able to like distill a lot of my random thoughts that I had. Like it wasn't very clear. I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but the way I communicated was horrible. And so by using the new SWE model, I just kind of told it, this is help me generate a plan for this. It looked through my code, helped me generate a plan. And then from there, we just told it to implement, and it did implement it, which was really nice and pretty easy actually, and very straightforward. So that's kind of SWE in a nutshell. It's also free if you have a pro subscription. So for a limited time, you can use this for free. It's supposed to be on par with Claude Sonnet 3.7, which is really great. And so, and other models. We also had some other users earlier who commented saying that they actually really like this model as well. I mean, not that you need other people's like input as well, but I feel like it's kind of a good vibe check. So far, I think, like someone was saying, they're saying, how does this compare to Google Gemini? I think we're moving away from this era of like depending on a model, because I'm not throwing the code into the actual model itself. The other things that we get that maybe a standalone model like Google Gemini doesn't give us right now are those extra tool calling capabilities, this extended planning and reasoning, the integrated development environment of Winsurf going through my code at these different pieces and extracting the stuff that it needs to give context to the model to do what it needs to do. And I think that they've basically have fine-tuned this model based off of all the user data that they've been getting for the past, I don't know how many months. And it's pretty fast. It's really fast, actually. It's not, apparently it's going to be cheaper. So this will be even better for everyone. So imagine you have this really intelligent model that's like maybe, I don't know what it is, maybe a third the cost or a fourth the cost. So far, so good. I kind of like it, not going to lie. That's kind of like it in a nutshell. I don't know if I actually answered your question there, but yeah, that's what's up. So Alex says a new model from Winsurf, which should be better, help you understand as like a software engineer. Yeah. All right. So we're vibing the authentication check here, and we're trying to see if we can protect our route. And so let's see what the changes are. So yes. Okay, cool. So it's using the server because we have a server component, and now it's doing an auth check, which is exactly what I wanted to do. Check for the user ID does not exist in the promise, and then it should be good. Okay. But I proposed the changes. Here's what changed. And only authenticate users. Okay, done. So accept the changes, and then I think it's await. Const, is it? Yeah, await auth. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I think that's it, because yeah, we're using Next.js 15. Yeah, so user ID, that's interesting. It grabbed the documentation, but it still forgot about the await thing. So thanks, we'll try now. Yeah, definitely, Eric, definitely worth trying. So now that we have this, let's just go ahead and make sure it runs. Cool, let me just Command K, hit bun dev. So we should have our app here. And so our stuff shows up here, and it says create a free account or have an account, sign in. So we could just say create a free account. And then what I do over here is kind of blur this out so that I don't like dox my all of my other Gmail accounts. I have so many of them for every organization. It's kind of insane. All right, cool. So now we're signed in. Pretty awesome. So we have that there. We have our dashboard, which is awesome. And what's going on when we go to dashboard? It says auth does not exist in target module. So for those who don't know, what it did when we were like vibe coding is it created a /dashboard component, which I don't really use. And I might not even need. Welcome to your dashboard. You're now signed in. Yeah, I don't think we really need this. Did you mean to import waitlist? Yeah, I don't think I need a dashboard. So I think I'll get rid of it. But yeah, I think that might be a later thing here. So auth Next.js server. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that are going on here that I don't really need. But the main thing was just this page layout here. And going into here, let me go back. Whoops. Let's see. VibeStamps. Okay. So yeah. So now we had talked about Context7. We talked about Winsurf. We talked about the code here. Let me just quit this out. Let me just restart it here. And everything should be chill, right? Cool. This is awesome. Let's see. Localhost 3000. And did I restart everything? Okay, cool. So we should be good to go. Awesome. Yeah, so now we're signed in. And when we're signed in, if I do a quick check and generate timestamps, it's basically doing a call onto my server side. Yeah, it's beautiful. Awesome. And now in Winsurf here, we see that it basically called the API generate. It did the call there to Google, and it returned back our results using our route handler and the new code that we're using to check for the auth and authentication. Theoretically, looks like it has gone through and should be set. So let's go ahead and just hit generate now. And we're going to just generate a commit message up here and hit commit and sync the changes. And so one of the ways we can do is theoretically on Vercel. Let's see. Is it Vercel? Vercel.com. So let me see. VibeStamps. Let's see. Vibe. I have so many repos. It's still waiting forever to load. VibeStamps. Vibe. Okay, here we go. So in here, I should theoretically have a feature auth branch. And within that branch, we should be able to go to it. So let's see, active branches. Okay. Oh, I know what's going on. It has no, let's see, dashboard. Oh, it's erroring out. So yeah, I'm going to have it remove the dashboard stuff. So just because I'm not really using it. Okay. I am not using the dashboard page or don't find a good use for it. Can we remove it from my app? And so we should be able to write this. So what's happening is when we're doing a build of the thing, so bun run build, it's failing because it's trying to build the dashboard and it doesn't have all the right types and stuff there. And we saw how it errors out when I do navigate to the dashboard page. So I'm going to just hit Command C and you can see this is the exact build error that we get. So if you ever do bun run build, before you ship your code out to somewhere else, basically it's going to do a whole build of your app and you'll see if there's any build errors, and that's what you use to verify things. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So I'll help you remove the dashboard page. Yeah. What's going on here? I don't know what's going on. We're just like vibe removing everything. Okay, so it's search for everything. What's going on with my header dashboard? Oh, okay. And it removes the dashboard link from the header. Yes, accept, please. Remove that. Cool. So it just cleaned it up because I also forgot in the layout header, we had the dashboard there. Accept all. And so let's see, bun dev. Theoretically. Cool. Nice. And if I go ahead and hit sign out. Yeah, cool. That's awesome. So if I say go ahead and create a free account, let's see. This is really cool. Hit continue. Sign in. Awesome. Sweet. And so now we no longer have that dashboard page, which is really cool. And yeah, everything should be working like normal. Damn, this is awesome. It's such a vibe. Okay, so then, yeah, we're pretty much set there. So on Winsurf, it should be good to go. So let's go ahead and commit these files, generate. I'm gonna go ahead and stash or commit all these changes, commit, sync. So what's gonna happen on Vercel now is we're gonna get another build kicked off. So it just does it automatically, which is nice. So we go to deployment. So deployment's gonna keep up with our build stuff here, deployment details, logs, VibeStamps. Okay, so now we're building. So this is our new build, and it's going to say it's going to be ready in, like, I don't know how long my builds take. Let's see. My builds take about 30 seconds. It's really fast. That's why I use bun as well, because bun is really fast. So the use of the build logs, and it's basically going through a build. It just deployed it. It pulls down all the different stuff. Magic UI particles, great. Boom, there's an error. What's the error? Oh, you know what? I think it doesn't have my my keys for Clerk. Ah, that's good to know. See, that should probably put them up in here. So that way I can test the authentication flow in production stuff. So, okay. So that's fixable. That's really easy to do. Okay. And so far, Let me just kind of catch up a little bit with the comments. I feel like I'm a little bit behind here, and I just want to make sure I'm up with everyone here. So, everyone's been kind of tuning in. I have no clue how many people are watching online. Maybe I can go ahead and check that to see what we're doing. Jeremy says, I switched from Cursor to Winsurf some time ago, but never heard of Context7. We'll be installing that this morning. Oh yeah, we were doing the Context7 MCP thing. Super duper awesome. So to install the MCP, we went to MCP servers and we hit configure. Once you hit configure, you can manage it in a couple of different ways. I'm going to stop my server for now. You can basically go to, hit refresh. So refresh will refresh all of our tools. My Context7 thing went away. I don't know why. View raw config. That's interesting. Well, we had it in here. I'll show you how to set it up. So if we go hit configure, wow, that's interesting. Maybe that is wild. So go to context7.com. We can do MCP server, and from MCP server in here, what we did was we basically says install on Cursor. We install on Winsurf. So hit copy. Actually, the only thing we need to copy is this part right here. So I go from bracket to bracket. So that's Context7 to this bracket. Let me move my head a little bit. So what we're doing is the way that it works is each bracket will contain the contents of this. These are basically almost like key value stores. So this is a key, and these are the values inside. So inside of those values, you have like basically something that's wrapped. So, and you can see this one, this is a key and this is a value. This is a key and this is a value. And the value is, it can be another value, like an array of things. It can be another, object of things. So that's just kind of why, it's really interesting in this Java environment or JavaScript environment. You'll have these like nested types of things. But you can see it still has the same pattern, which is a key. And you basically have a key and you have a value. So that's the way you kind of want to look at these things. If you're looking at them or you're kind of new to this type of thing, like what are all these brackets and angles? They're still the same thing. A key references, some type of order here. And then the value is, whatever this value, this type of thing is going to generate. So in this case, just for what we're doing here is, we have Context7. So MCP servers is like the highest level thing here. And so if we go into like Winsurf, into like our configure file, if we go to configure, view raw config, so we have MCP servers as the highest level, and then you'll also see these little arrows. So these little arrows can show you like basically these keys, right? So we go here and we drop the puppeteer, so we can have many values of MCP servers in here. So just by hitting this little arrow, it'll reveal it and do this type of thing. So that way it makes it a little bit easier and maybe kind of also demystifies some of that stuff if you're seeing it. So what I'm doing is like, this is the key and then this is the value in here. So what I do is just grab the value from bracket to bracket. So that way it's easier. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab. I know I just grabbed this, and that actually I want to grab the key. I want to start with the key first. So key to value, and that's basically here. The reason why I don't want to grab the level above is because there's a list here of multiple of them. So in here, in Winsurf, we're going to I'm going to minimize this here, and then I'm going to add a little comma because that's how we add it to the list here. And then I'm going to hit enter and then hit paste. I was like, am I high right now? I know what's going on is because it added an extra bracket when we didn't need it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is hit minus and hit tab, because the tab will fix itself. Okay. So you see, I'm going to see if I can make this bigger. Oh, it doesn't let me do that. Okay. So in here, we have Puppeteer as the first one. Now we have Context7 as the second one. So, and you see they follow the similar pattern. They have that little bracket, and they have the comma, and they have this little key, and they have this little comma there too. So that's what you're seeing. I don't know why I didn't. Let me hit save, and then let me hit refresh. Okay. Yeah, it says 2 tool calls. This is really weird how it just like booted up, or it got removed. It removed our MCP server, even though we had it configured. So I don't really know how and why that happens, but that's okay. Let me refresh here, and now it has both of them in here. Configure. Okay. Yeah. And then we can turn off certain ones. So like if I'm not using Context7, you can just turn it off as well. There seems to be a bug here because, oh, I see. I can say disable puppeteer. Okay, cool. And then keep these in here. Oh, okay. So Context7 has two different libraries. This is resolve library ID and get library docs. Okay, so this is the way that it kind of works here. Yeah, this is kind of like a multi thing. I think a lot of people haven't explored or explained this too much, and I'm learning right now as I go. I'm trying to explain as I go, just so that we can kind of learn together here as a community. And hopefully you've been finding this helpful, and maybe someone else you can share back. I've hired my brother to help me go through and create clips and stuff. So if anyone's interested in actually being a member, I actually do have something called Let Me Cook. So if you're on YouTube, that's kind of where I have my membership live right now. And you can sign up, and basically that contribution is going to go to my brother, so that he can edit the videos. He's currently out of work right now, so I'm basically trying to see if he can help me with this type of task, so that way we can get some of these really nice gold nuggets and share them out to folks as well, because I feel like that benefits everyone as well. So that's the one thing Continue does really well. I was able to add my library doc and reinforceable context. For example, the at Clerk is all you need. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, continue.dev. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool, actually. Okay, so that's MCP context. This is this thing so far. As far as what we've been able to test so far for Winsurf and the MCP, and this type of stuff like SWE-1, I like it so far. I haven't, to me, authentication is a big deal. I'm surprised and not surprised, because this is the same behavior that I get from other models. As far as securing my route, thinking about my app fully from the front end and back end side of things. Yeah, I did have to instruct it because I am the engineer. And I said, hey, make sure we protect the route for the back end. I was just kind of seeing how we would do that. And you saw it was only a couple of line files, but it took a little while to try to describe that. And so I try to think about, where is this gap being bridged between a vibe coder who's really not trying to be very hands-on, and then the engineer. And then how does SWE fit in this middle picture here? Because we may not necessarily get there by an individual model by itself, but where the trend is going and what you should be aware of right now is tool calling. So tool calling is very powerful. Is how these language models can call these tools like MCP servers, or use their internal routing system that they have with their internal models to understand the context of your code, and then take that and then make those additional changes, or figure out what you're really trying to do to achieve the outcome that you want. So I must say Wave 9 right now for Winsurf, amazing. Finally, I feel like it's finally caught up to where Cursor was maybe a month ago or two, where Cursor just iterates on lints. It does a really good job of reading your types. It goes out to the internet. I remember using Wave 6, and the Wave 6 feels like so long ago now, which is kind of insane if you think about it. But that was only a couple months ago, and at that time I was early beta for going out to grab documentation from the internet. So all of that stuff has improved a lot. And this SWE model, is it going to replace your job overnight? Definitely not. We can see where the puck is going. So as they learn more, as these models get better, as the tools get better, and people make, stuff like MCPs, these documentation stuff, as they get better at fixing the code, I feel like the typed languages are going to do best, like TypeScript, because there's that extra feedback loop saying, hey, this doesn't work really well right now. There's these little squiggly lines. Let me go ahead and see what I did or try to implement wrong. So that's kind of it's safeguard there. As far as planning, one of the things that we did, just to recap, if you're just kind of watching this towards the end, is the fact that, I kind of threw a blurb of what I wanted to do. I wasn't really clear in my head, but sometimes I do that, right? That's the reason why you write. That's the reason why you start to type stuff down, is because you want to get some clarity back. So it's really nice right now to have it available for free, to chat with it, to get a back and forth. It's oh yeah, that's what I wanted for my feature. And then we reviewed the plan and say, hey, can you make one change? Because the user experience isn't really good if a user hasn't created an account yet. If they go hit if their intention is to go grab the file and they don't get what they want, they sign in and they lose data because the file is no longer being processed, you know, I don't want to make them do that action twice. I just want it to be a nice, smooth experience. And that's what we were able to smooth out in the plan, then have it go into chat mode, from chat mode into the actual write mode, and then implement that plan. So I felt like that was a really big W there. And it did kind of follow that more. Do you plan to do more windsurf tonight? I can if I want. It's currently 9:46 here in Hawaii, and I have to be like out of the house by like 6 o'clock because I'm going to do outrigger canoe paddling. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave this here for now. Let's see. I don't even know how far I am with this video. I think I started it maybe like an hour. It's almost 2 hours now, right? Because I started at 8 o'clock. Maybe not. No, 9 o'clock. Oof. Yeah. Has it only been 46 minutes? Okay. Oh, finish. Oh, my finish button's over here. That's weird. Okay. Yeah. Like, let me know what you want to see, Doom. Like if that I haven't covered yet, and we can try to test it out real quick because you've been so awesome. You've been like on the stream and kind of like MVP of the stream right now, staying on to kind of do these things. So yeah, let's take a look. Let's see. So we have MCPs, we have this, we have the globals file, and my design system is kind of what I'm using here. So I have a Ghibli background. This is kind of what I'm referencing so that I have, did you test the billing? Sorry, I stepped away for a bit. No, I haven't done the billing feature yet, actually. Getting kind of fatigued right now, where I need to get my rest so that I can be up and be ready to power through like an hour and a half straight in the water on the ocean, you know? But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look, see if I can kind of take a look at this dashboard type of thing, because I think it's gonna be really cool. And so I just want to make sure I got this set up here. So I got this, so I got my users in here, and then I go subscriptions beta. So in subscriptions beta, we should be able to just hit like getting started, right? And there we are, we're done. I'm just lame. So 0 plans created, read the billing guide. Okay. Let's see if we can do this. Billing for B2C, enable billing, create plan, show the details. We just give it a pricing table and a user profile. That's it? Bro. Really? Should we just vibe this? I mean, I don't see why not, right? Let's just vibe code this. Right? I think I got everything I need. It's just that simple. No way, bro. Okay, let's go ahead and create a plan. So we have a free plan, and then we have a YOLO plan. All of the tings. Yes, I misspelled tings. $6.99. Annual discount for the monthly base fee. Now let's just do it publicly available. Add features. YOLO. Create feature. So this could be like a feature plan here. So let's go ahead and save. Bro, this is gonna be crazy. Vibe billing, bro. Doom. If we get this, now we get this Mr. Beast challenge. Can we get billing set up in like a second? I mean, it feels like it, right? Dude, Clerk is gonna be a bad man. What about the rule always protect from client and server side? Maybe it would take that into consideration. I'm trying to keep the rules as light as possible. And I feel like the more rules, like the worse it gets. But yeah, I'm just trying to like vibe it out right now. And my preference is less is more, if you know what I mean. Go back to plans. Okay, so now we're almost ready to start billing. So, right, we just got the billing guide. We enable billing. When you're ready to activate billing, click enable billing. So what if we do this? What happens? Okay, so billing is enabled. You're all set up. Add our billing. Okay. So let's go. Man, I'm getting too ahead of myself. This is so hype right now. Okay. I gotta compose. Okay. This could be as fast as that. Okay, so let me go ahead and we have our thing here. We have everything checked in, so we're Gucci, right? All right. Okay. My bad. Okay. So guys, okay. Oh man. So we go to page. Okay. So I have just enabled Clerk billing, and here are the instructions that we need to follow. And then this, and then we're going to go to, I'm going to minimize this a little bit to the side. I'm going to say read our billing guide. Okay. This is the guide we gave it. And then here, here is the URL you need to read for this. Okay, and then we're just gonna YOLO, right? I mean, just right. That's the only way we go. We're literally vibe building right now. This is if Doom. Thank you. Oh man, I wonder if they have a test more like Stripe that they didn't say with the user processor. I think they use Stripe. Yeah, they use Stripe for sure. So now it's reading the documentation on Clerk's website that I gave it about the B2C. And then it's like now searching my code base to figure out if I have those files or those types of things set up for it. So searched for PricingTable. This is so crazy, man. Dude, like in one get-go, we're just going to implement this thing. This is absolutely bonkers, actually. I kind of like this. We're so vibing right now. Yeah, let me check the stats right now. Who's on where? YouTube at Ray Fernando. How many people are watching in all these different platforms? So we're live. 28 watching. Let's go. And then let's go to x.com. Just really curious. Who's watching on what? Let's see. We got 681 people. Let's go. Oh, 661. Let me cook. Let's see. That's awesome. Any comments? Oh, that's my problem right now is I can't really see the comments on like Twitch. Let's see. We're vibe building right now. Creator dashboard? Stream manager? Is that how that works? I haven't really done Twitch. I'm just like not twitching through. Are there any comments here? There's no one here. It says 2 days ago. Okay. Can't really see. Content? Community analytics overview? Okay. Some folks are watching. Got it. Okay. So we're literally vibe billing right now. Using Clerk to implement the pricing. And to be honest, I could probably do a lot faster than they're implementing it. But we're just trying to see if we can vibe right now because I'm kind of towards the end of me needed to take a rest, actually. I probably need to stand up too. But it's really, it's really interesting to see the SWE-1 model right now really do its thing and try to check. Analyze content using has. Let me check the next chunk to learn about protect. Nice. Wow. First, let's create a pricing table. Sick. This is so cool. Error. Let's app pricing. Oh, boy. This is so crazy. This is actually pretty fun. Now you just need a fruit smoothie in one hand and just talk to the... Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. I got some coffee or something. No, I actually got some... this is actually cool. It's a Yeti cup from this like... it's called Tradition Coffee. And they're here in Hawaii. And then they have... Like, it's really cool because the Yeti cup actually has the Hawaiian Islands on it. So it's super awesome. Yeah. I should make some swag so people can buy it, like a cup or something. And the cup would just say, let me cook. So, continue. Yes. I don't know what's going on here. Let me create so created a pricing page. Need help choosing. Okay. And then now we're just going back to, let's create the premium features right now on the regular page. Okay. Awesome. I like the cup. Yo. Yeah, man. It's so good. I mean, it still has ice from this morning when I made my coffee, which is like at like 6 in the morning. So it's already 9:55 p.m. This thing could be like in a fire and it still has ice in it, which is crazy, you know? Oh, that's so awesome. Yeti's great. Okay, so open diff. What's going on here? So we have a premium page. That's interesting. We have a header. Okay. Accept all. We're just gonna. Bro, this is so cool. Let me kind of expand this out a little bit. What's going on? So in the layout, we're having is signed in premium pricing. Oh, nice. Okay. And then let me make sure bun dev. I'm just going to run it while it's running. Like this is so backwards right now, but we'll see. Premium. I don't know what's going on. Pricing, subscribe. Oh, I know what's going on. The component is probably getting lost with my design style. Let's enhance the header navigation. Okay. And we have the page, has premium access, public metadata, premium. Oh, so the plan is not called premium. That's probably why it's not seeing it right now. So what I should do is go back to here and go to the billing. Where is billing? Billing, right? And then dashboard. So my plan, one is called YOLO and the other one's called free. And so in here, I should just give it this type of thing. So I should say, I should be able to just give it to it while it's doing its thing, right? I mean, why not? So I only have 2 plans, free and YOLO. Okay. As of now, I only have 2 plans, free and YOLO. So what's going on now? Can I just hit enter? Please. Oh, hit enter again to interrupt and send you messages. You can't send it in parallel. Okay. Well, I'm going to let it do its thing, and then it's probably going to make a second iteration with my fix to see if it can do that. Jeremy, but would you need to remove that rule in order of time you don't specifically need it? Would have super clear to increase the risk of confusion. Yeah, I agree about like rules, like less is more and that stuff. Do you have an accounts page where you're able to change your settings? Hey, Doom. So this is what's cool. So the new thing with Clerk billing is that it's done in where your user profile is. So when you go to your user profile, that's where the actual accounts are for updating, canceling your plan and all that stuff, which we're going to go ahead and take a look at, which would be really awesome. So that's actually the most exciting thing the thing I'm most excited about. Maybe, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and hit stop, and I'm going to go ahead and revert, confirm. So it created the, I have 2 plans, YOLO and free. And then it should be able to take this and do the things that we needed to do based off this context. So it went a little crazy because it thought I had premium and all these other names, and it was referencing them. See, it says user public metadata plan premium. It's actually going to be user public metadata YOLO, I think, because the slug here is called YOLO or free user, and then the other one is called YOLO here. So this is the slug that it should mention, but I don't even know if it needs that metadata, to be honest. So we'll see. Yeah, it's just taking a little bit longer than expected. That's interesting. We'll see. Yeah, see, has YOLO access. Perfect. See? Amazing. It's so cool. But you see what a difference it is, making sure we change the prompt. Like I gave it the screenshots and it's reading that metadata in there. So that's passing that in as a slug. So it says YOLO and free. So And that's kind of how we have to do that here. This building is still in beta, by the way. So the slug is kind of what we're using for the to make sure it's checking for the plan. So if I do a code review right now, it says has YOLO access. It's doing a check to see if either of these exist. And if not, it'll say you need to be signed in for a valid plan to access this content. Otherwise, feature 1 available on both plans, feature 2 available on both plans. Only YOLO plan has these features. So it kind of generated like a little template for me. And this is actually in the page premium page. So then there's the pricing page too. So that's pretty awesome actually. Cursor, you want a lot of rules for the best results. Not sure about, actually I have less rules. Now I have basically 0 rules in Cursor, but I generate the rules and I have the either agent auto attach them depending on what they are. And I'm breaking up my rules in like if I'm using the Vercel AI SDK, I tell it to give it some documentation. But now with Context7, I may not even need those rules anymore too, because the LLM can go reference them. And so what I'm going to try to figure out in the next coming days is figuring out what rules do I need where, like the person was saying earlier, is maybe I just need one generic rule saying any documentation, just use Context7. So that way I don't have to keep typing it in. But right now, by not saying it, I just want to see what the model is doing, right? We're trying a new model. I'm trying to see, how good is it at tool calling. I don't want to always give it some explicit rules. So that way, this is kind of like the learning phase of a model. I have a project for each project and all the rules work together. Yeah. I feel like it's good that we're sharing knowledge, actually. It's really nice. I appreciate that, actually. Let's see. What do we do with the header? So in the header now, we have the new pricing. Nice. I'm going to accept all. This is coming together really fast. I like this. So let's go back to VibeStamps. Refresh. No, it's actually my localhost. Localhost. Huh. Bro, look at this. This is clean. And it's using my design style. Bro, this is so crazy. So check this out. Where is my, let's go back home. If I change it to light mode, we go to pricing. This is crazy. So I need to have light mode and dark mode in the, see, black, white, and then it should be a white card with black. Nice. It uses my theme provider. So that's like one of the benefits of using Shoutouts as far as like a design system, is because whenever it's calling a card, it's going to be referencing this root file. And so let me move my head and I can kind of show you a little bit of how the repo is structured for Tailwind v4. So with Tailwind v4, you can basically do a, where is the CSS file? I can't see the file right now for whatever reason. Post CSS. Dang. There is a root file where my CSS is Command P, Command F. How do I search CSS? No. Oh my gosh, global CSS. Yes, there's a global CSS file. And, man, this is where dyslexia is really hard, but that's okay. I'm going to select the file here. It's going to take me here. Okay. So in my global CSS file, this is where everything is kind of defined in terms of like the design system. So with Tailwind v4, you'll have like these themes and inlines, and these are the things that I was referencing. That also does some of the things that we need. Like I got the animate clouds. And so this is kind of how you're seeing those clouds animate in light mode and dark mode, because they're defined in this Ghibli style animation thing. This is kind of like the big advantage here. And then with Shoutouts, all the components as far as like for the UI are all stashed in here. Buttons and like these themes and SRT upload providers. And so whenever we add something like a Clerk component, it's going to be referencing our root global CSS file. And then that global CSS file is what we got for free when we added these pricing things. And look at it says most popular, upgrade now. So we hit upgrade and nothing happens. This is why you don't, well, we got to see what's going on. I don't really know what's going on. Am I still running the app? Plan checkout 404 YOLO. Ah, okay. So I need to figure out why it's doing that. So plan, it's this API checkout plan YOLO. API why is it going to API checkout? I don't think it should do that. So let's just make sure we're doing the right thing. So pricing home, we go to pricing. We should go to current plan. If I go into manage account, I now have billing. So billing is in here. Okay, so I know Doom was asking about the billing thing. So in your actual manage account, you now have a new section called billing. And so that's kind of what we're trying to figure out here. And so billing here is where you can actually switch plans. You can go from free to switch plans and subscribe to YOLO. So if I hit subscribe, this takes you to a checkout and you can pay with a test card. I don't want to do this flow yet because this is not the flow I wanted to test. I wanted to test from the UI, like if a new user was signing up. So you have these plans, you have statements. So this is pretty cool, actually. You can add a payment method and stuff, switch plans. And so this is nice. You get this for free for Clerk. You don't have to make a UI for this. You don't have to wire everything up. You don't have to set up any webhooks. You don't have to do so much stuff because we have this new feature here. So amazing. This is really, really cool. Actually, I'm really excited about this. So this is one part of it. The other part is the actual interface here is like, how do we hit upgrade now and then do whatever it needs to do? Because this API route does actually technically not exist. And we need to read the Clerk documentation to make sure that we're implementing it in the correct way, because it could be getting confused in terms of what it's thinking it's supposed to be doing. Yeah. Look at your problems tab on the terminal for errors. Yeah, it's the 404 because the route doesn't exist. And I'm pretty sure Clerk billing does not necessarily need to go to an API route. And that's what I wanted to double check with the documentation for. Yes, I think I'll, like make a video on the test and rules with the rules. Yes, I think I'll have to do project specific rules. I appreciate everyone's comments. Actually, they're super helpful right now in terms of helping us guide us through this whole thing. So let me just go ahead and sign out real quick and just kind of see where we're at. So we go pricing. We still have upgrade now. See, we still have some stuff to fix and some polish. So right now we have create account. Obviously, this is just completely vibe today. We hit create free account, and then create free account will get us, or sign in. You know, it doesn't matter. Hit sign in. And then we're going to go ahead and sign in with our app here. And hit sign in with Google. Create our account. Okay. So we're signed in, and then we should be able to do our things. So, yeah, refresh pricing. Okay. So pricing, and then that's kind of where that is. So yeah, cool. So far we have, I've set up the building integration with Clerk for your application. Here's a summary of changes. We had the pricing, adding a premium page. So they have premium pricing, added the pricing link to the header, improve the plan specific things for the metadata, which is what it needed. So set up a webhook. See, this is where it's getting really interesting. It's like, we don't need to set up a webhook, right? Because the documentation shows that we don't need that. Let's create a checkout flow. See, this is where it added the API checkout and sign up for a free account. So we're going to go ahead and like check in the code that we have so far because it works, but we still have problems, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and commit this. I like to check in changes every so often, especially since we're still working on things so we can revert them. So before I head out, I'm going to try to see if I can fix this last part and try to point it to the documentation, saying that we may not actually need this type of checkout stuff. So add features to a plan, add a pricing page. Please B2C SaaS. Okay. What's nice about the billing feature with Clerk is that we no longer need to set up a webhook or do the create checkout flow. So the problem right now is when we go to the pricing page and we select the plan, it's doing /API/checkout with the plan YOLO, and it's giving us a 404. And what we can do is take a look at the following URL for the documentation, because Clerk is going to be the one handling all of that stuff for us, and we don't have to write that code. So basically do that and then paste the actual URL. And now I'm just going to go let it vibe. So this is how we set up vibe building, my friends. Yeah, this is a pretty massive stream. This is awesome. Hopefully folks are kind of getting some value from this. I know I am. This is really great. Okay, so I have stumbled upon, please share. Okay. I'll help you update the pricing page to use Clerk's built-in components. Okay. Analyze content, explore features. So now it's taking a look at, it's doing some semantic queries, 237 results. That's awesome. Oh yeah, so this is still going. Okay, cool. This is awesome. Okay. Yes, this is exactly what I told it. So far, I'm really liking this model, to be honest. This new SWE model is pretty good. I was, like, oh, let's see. Did it finish? Now let me check the Clerk documentation to implement the building components named Clerk. No, they're all in here. They are all in here. So there isn't a lot of components. It's literally just that little thing and that's it. Because if I go to Context7, Clerk, let's see, billing. This a week ago, 5 hours ago. Next.js billing. Yeah, no, Clerk. I think it's like Clerk docs. And then I look up billing. Billing account, customer ID, Clerk. Billing and not accessible. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be very helpful. Billing beta. Yeah, there's nothing interesting that's going to be useful for it. That's why I told it to cancel and just say, take a look at the Clerk. Just look at the website because that's actually where it's all at. So it created an outline. LLMs. Oh, so Clerk. That's awesome. That Winsurf is even using that. Impressive. I like actually seeing Winsurf really work here and do its thing. That's a great rule idea. Anytime you need to check docs, use Context7 MCP, especially when working with. See, this is kind of, it works and it doesn't work because I don't like, right now I check Context7 myself and it actually would have thrown the language model completely off base a little bit because I know that everything is needed is actually pretty well defined in the simple billing page. So in billing, it's actually a simple pricing table. We just need to do this. That's it. Like, I don't think there's anything else we need to do. If not, I'll just copy and paste it myself and put it in there. So we'll see. Can you give Context7 the docs? Oh, yeah, let's do that. Why not? That's a really good, that way everyone else benefits from this. Thank you so much for that. Man, you're the real MVP right now. So add documentation from a GitHub repo, from llms.txt, from a website. Okay, so from a website, library of product name, Clerk, billing, B2C SaaS, library of product description, Clerk, billing, beta, your email, additional notes, optional. Okay, that's cool. Let's see here. Sweet. Okay. Submit request. Great. 3 to 5 business days. So Context7. Wow. Okay. So once you submit the documentation, they say that Context7 editors will evaluate the requests and manually parse the website. So it takes that amount of time. Okay. That's chill. I mean, yeah, I get it because they don't want spam and people just to flood the context, right? Okay, so now it looks like it got it though. I'll help you update the pricing page, replace the custom checkout flow with Clerk's pricing table. So if we open up the diff here, now we're using the Clerk pricing table from Clerk. Yay, that's really good news. And then let's fix the syntax errors as well because there's some syntax errors and we scroll down to the bottom. So now we're just checking for the pricing table and does it have the plan that's current. That's really, really helpful actually. That's awesome. That's it, right? So what else do we have here? Yeah, pricing. Same here for the pricing. Now we're just using the pricing table from Clerk because Clerk already has it for us. And then down here, we're just saying mail to support. We don't need that. Okay, got it. Create an outline, view page. Man, this is looking pretty good so far. So let's take a look. Yeah, this is cool. This is actually from Clerk down here. Nice. See, we get the checkout. That's awesome. Wow. Yeah, sweet. That is really sweet, actually. So what it did was it kept our existing card, but then it popped the components for each plan. So it's basically saying for each plan, we're just going to show in the pricing page, whatever the plan is, we're just going to show each card for that plan. I think that's kind of what it's going on. Yeah. So it shows each of the plans for each of the things in here, which is kind of why we have these two different offerings, if you know what I mean. So that's kind of why it's showing up. So the free and always free is active. And then we have YOLO down here. So we hit subscribe. It's going to pop up this thing and say pay with test card. This is all off because it added this type of header and we need to kind of account for that in my UI. But for now, we could just say pay with test card. And theoretically, we should have a payment successful. Yeah, that's it. Easy, right? And so once the payment was successful, we continue. Now if we go to pricing, it says now we have this plan that's active now. And then if we go to our manage account and we go to billing, now it actually shows us that we're now on the YOLO plan, which is awesome. That's the premium plan. That's so cool. So now we can cancel the subscription by going down here. And this is all built into Clerk, which is really nice. So now we have like a new statement. We have this thing here that says we subscribe to the plan. Now we go to subscription. We can say, I want to cancel. I want to change my thing, switch plans. I want to go back to the free plan. Okay, subscribe. Boom. That's so amazing. That's awesome. I don't know what's going on here. Oh, I think we're doing some iterate on lints things. Yeah, we're still not done. That's awesome. Wow. We totally vibe coded this. Oh man, this is great. Okay, so I noticed that the current implementation is trying to use pricing table component, but it's not properly set up using Clerk's documentation. Okay. It was earlier though. Okay. Let's hit continue. Like we totally had it set up. It was so cool. It's just vibing. But y'all saw that, right? Like we were able to basically get this thing to use the Clerk components, and the components are actually simpler than what it's making it out to be right now. I don't know what's actually happening, so I'm just kind of curious to see what it's spinning its wheels at, because it basically finished the code over here for us. It wasn't really a lot of changes. What we did before was just added a custom appearance. Oh, it's trying to do a custom appearance. That's why. Okay, this request is taking longer than expected. Running. Okay, here we go. Open the diff. Okay, so now we're using the new pricing table components. We're getting rid of these extra plans. Remember how we had these extra stuff showing up in there because we no longer need it? We just need a pricing table, which is kind of what we were seeing here. So we go pricing, we go here, and so resubscribe, and this is kind of where I need to take a deeper look at the issue. See, we had a pricing table with the buttons and it was really, really nice. And it got rid of that. But Clerk has their own components for pricing tables. And this is actually something that I can't modify because it's in the actual Clerk repo itself. And so they have their own props and appearances. And that's something that I need to understand a little bit better. So like if I go back to here in my homepage and I make it into like dark mode, we go back to pricing. Yeah, we don't see anything here. We just see read subscribe. So there's clearly other scaffolding that I probably need to set up here, but this is kind of what we had before. And that was kind of some of the awkwardness that we had. So there's a couple of things that we've been able to do so far. That's way easier than setting up Stripe. Dude, this is way easier. Right now, I'm dealing now with UI issues, but as far as backend stuff, we have Stripe set up. We don't have to have a webhook set up anymore. We have authentication set up. We have already made a payment. We've upgraded and we downgraded. We have a central place for billing where users can go manage their billing. They can go check their history. We didn't have to write any of that code. Clerk is the one that's kind of managing that for us, which is awesome. And of course, it's tied to the authentication part. So if you already have an existing Clerk thing, you just enable billing and then you just throw in that pricing table. And so we need to figure out, what we need to do with the UI so that we can make those changes to have it show up like we need to show up. You may not even need a pricing table, to be honest. It could just be gated by like some text saying, whatever, like for a landing page, I just need this text and then I just need this button to show up. Like, because that's what we're getting. We're actually getting a button. And so the pricing table will still need to be defined for it to see it, because it still needs to have like a card and a button and things. But you saw basically, yeah, that's amazing. So all of this we've been able to achieve using the new Windsurf Wave 9. And Wave 9 is super impressive. It's come a very long way. And the fact that their latest model, SWE-1, is basically free right now if you're a pro user, I would use that as much as possible. We were able to exercise it by kind of talking through some plans with us in chat mode. We're able to implement things. I like the way that it's doing its planning stuff. I like the way that we kind of push it limits as far as long context. It does really well at these many iterations. Winsurf itself, as far as like an IDE editor, is so good right now at trying to pull together all these different things that are going on in the code base. And as it continues to grow and change, you're seeing kind of what's happening. We still have the option as an engineer to stop it and say, hey, we need to do these types of things. We were able to take some of these weird planning things and then try to see if we can generate a plan just from these random ideas. So I really like that idea. As far as like getting this new documentation, billing was just released, I think a couple days ago or less than a week ago. And so as a feature that just dropped, we're able to throw the URL and have it do its thing to look up that documentation and specifically stick to that. I didn't use an MCP specifically for that thing because it's still so new. Impressive, very impressive. It's very hopeful because that's what I want to do. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm very blown away. Big shout outs to the Winsurf team who really cooked on this one. A lot of hard work probably went into this to make this happen over many times. And yeah, I mean, I feel like you get a lot of good value for the money for this model. And this is the SWE-1 model. So this is really cool to see this type of thing happen. Let's see. Winsurf has been cooking ever since they got bought out by OpenAI. They have not been bought out, my friend. That's the rumor. It's not confirmed yet. Until I see the CEO of Winsurf and like Sam Altman and those guys are actually shaking hands saying, yeah, we did it. Yeah, I mean, because anything can happen, right? I don't know what's going on. Because they should have just said it already. I mean, everyone acts like it's already been confirmed and stuff, but yeah, this is way easier than setting up Stripe. So having it check a website works great, but if it needs multiple docs in the same step, like React 19.15, 3JS won't vibe through that. Yeah, that's a good point. That's an interesting part also about Context7 as far as MCP server. We went a little bit over that and the configuration for that in Winsurf. So it will be interesting to see in the coming days how that works as well. Clerk billing was literally released a couple days ago, and we were able to get that thing in here with Winsurf. Bro, this is so good. I mean, I'm very happy about this. I'm very happy with the direction where everything is going because it really, I don't know if I could show you the plan that I've been working on to implement Stripe just in my code base. I'll show you kind of what that looks like in Cursor. I'm going to get that pulled up right now because I was literally going through documenting every single phase of where I'll need to have checks in my webhooks. And it's been getting out of hand, my friends, like ridiculously out of hand. So it was to the point where I had to stop because I barely got the basic workflow down and I still didn't get everything done, if you know what I mean. So it's like, oh, come on, man. Like how are we even going to do this? Project plan, design, MCC. Let me make sure I can get the type of thing set up, because it was it was like, y'all really like do this right now? Okay, I think this is what it is. So I'm gonna go into here and I'm gonna make sure I have the right thing set up here. So okay, cool. So here is what I'll do. I'll shrink myself a little bit. So I have a Stripe implementation plan. So I have an entire markdown that I was mapping out, which is all right here, on integrating payments with Clerk for my Rate Transcribes app. So literally, like, here's a security definition for what I was wanting the AI agent. I was setting up all the instructions in plain text so that I can understand the workflow before I started to doing any code, because this is how I would work as a SWE engineer. I was like, you have to be very clear in your head. So I was using Cursor to go back and forth in terms of how I'm going to implement and kind of iterate on my plans, and making sure I had documentation pulled up. I would copy snippets of documentation to make sure I had certain things and webhooks and stuff to be doing in there. And so this is what I've come up with. And it's basically a, let's see, it's a total almost 500 lines. Just a basic plan. Basic webhooks. Like, what I'm doing is basically a front end flow for the app. So I basically would do a plan selection. I would do because I'm doing authentication and I have a database. I have to set up Clerk for the authentication. I have to trigger the checkout creation. Here's all the stuff I would trigger for the checkout. And then I would have to call the convex mutation to saying, hey, I'm doing a Stripe checkout. Give me back a URL. And then from there, I go say, convex, make sure the user data syncs back with the webhook. So I have to set up a webhook on convex to collect that, to saying, hey, we did something, making sure that it's in the database and available. And then that's the webhook handler code, all the stuff already, done there. And then I also have like a create Stripe checkout session. So like I have to have a mutation inside of my database provider, which is convex, to like make sure that that's already collected and saying, hey, we got the payment, everything is good. And then from there, this is the Stripe configuration I have to do, like the webhook for the endpoint saying we paid, everything is good. And then there's like a handler that I need to say like this webhook is legit and it actually came from Stripe, not some like third party dude who's just trying to spam my endpoint and all that stuff. And then I have to set up the database schema. So understanding like, what is my user? What is my entities that I have? So that entity is basically defining a user, its properties, everything that they need in my app, so that I can have it in the database, so that I can store those rows and things and call them back later as I needed. And then from there, the next step I needed is a Clerk configuration. And then I need to make sure my middleware file is okay, and then kind of looping back with all these types of things. And this is just the basic setup. This was like I was starting to go over some of the tests, and it was already starting to blow my mind, because what happens when a user's payment fails? What happens when their user payment cancels? If they're already in the subscription and they want to change plans, do I have the webhooks? Do I have everything set up to make sure that happens? And then I was like, okay, can you just draw me the basic flow? I told Cursor to do this, right? This is a massive iteration, like for a couple of days, and I still haven't even implemented it, right? This is the flow. This is exactly what I was describing up above. And then how this kind of gets back and handled. We're not even halfway through this file. We're only at like line 400. You can see how it keeps going. And you can see the importance of why, and like these were the actual webhooks from Stripe and Convex that I needed to check. And I had to like document this across the board, right? So when this Stripe event happens, I make sure I have this Convex handler, and I make sure that these tables in my database are touched along with why in the notes. So I had to document all of this stuff just to make sure that when I generate the code, that it's there, it's thorough, and it's working. And this is kind of why a lot of people get stuck here, because they vibe code it and maybe they only have a couple Stripe events that they listen to and that's it. And I don't know about you, but for me as an engineer, I like to make sure my products work. And this is kind of my downfall, because I come from, working at a big corporation, and you really think through every single detail. And it just really bothers me sometimes to just ship like a really broken thing. But when we're talking about authentication, we're talking about people's money. I don't want to mess that up. I don't want to leak data. I don't want to, I feel like I have a personal responsibility, and that's kind of the era that I'm rolling in right now. So when someone like Clerk releases this billing thing, and we just implemented that in like less than an hour, right? And most of the time I was just explaining and vibing. You see how like all of that stuff that I was just outlining that I didn't implement, like how it's already done for you in a package. Bro, like that's massive. That's so massive. I can't even. Wow. Okay. So yeah. That's the biggest reason right now why I'm really excited about this feature. And like we still haven't even talked about edge cases. We haven't talked about anything else. And that's kind of why I'm vibing right now with this whole billing thing with Winsurf. Like in Windsurf SWE-1, we're using Clerk billing. You know, obviously we need to check out and fix some of the UIs and tell it like, yeah, I do want this card button because I still need to understand. The users need to actually see this, and this is why. So yeah, that's pretty much all that stuff wrapped up in the nutshell. So let's roll call, see you still around and stuff like that. So on X, let's see how many people have been watching so far, because this has been a pretty massive stream, and I've been going on for a little while. So we're yeah, we've got 760 folks here, and then we got YouTube at Ray Fernando. Let's see who's still watching, and people are dropping comments, because 15 people are still watching. That's cool. And then on Twitch and stuff like that. So, and there's probably some folks on LinkedIn. I don't know if you're also on LinkedIn, but it's 10:30. I need to get to bed because I do need to wake up early tomorrow to make sure I hit my paddling strong and early, because I got to be out in the water by like 6 o'clock. So thank you so much for tuning in. We covered Wave 9. I feel like we're just scratching the surface with this new SWE model. I like it a lot. A first look, this is looking really, really good. If you're playing around with this, I feel like this is on par with what I've been using with Claude Sonnet, and it's really fast. It's currently free if you're a pro user, so use it as much as possible. Use it for planning like we were doing. Give it new documentation. We really did guess to test it. You know, Clerk has done a good job of updating their documentation to implement something like billing. So we were able to get authentication set up in my existing app, get the billing feature set up, test it to actually pay, upgrade my account, downgrade my account. Everything is all managed within the Clerk system. It worked. We really like vibe coded the billing part, which is normally like a 500 page plan, a 500 line plan that I had lined out. And now I just throw that plan away and just go turn on Clerk billing. Oh man, this is so good. This is too good. So with that said, friends, thank you so much for tuning in. Ray Fernando 1337 is where I'm at. This is how I roll. If you want to see more of this type of stuff, this is what we're doing around here. This is I code with AI. I have a challenge to basically use AI and basically not go back to corporate, if you know what I mean. I think this is a really rare moment in our lifetime where we're able to try to use AI to solve some really cool problems and try to change the world. And we can do that now because tools like Winsurf, tools like Cursor, tools like, you know, OpenAI's models, Anthropic's models, are Google's models. All these providers and people, Meta, open source. Shout out to the open source teams who are pushing and not even getting paid like they should be, are all pushing the envelope to take us where we need to go to unlock this capability. And so as you see, this is not replacing my thinking. I'm using this as a tool, as a companion to help accelerate and push these ideas out as fast as possible. I don't want to hire a team of 10 people, 20 people, 30 people. You no longer need that in this era. We just need to be very smart to use this AI almost like an operating system to help us pull out this knowledge that's out there, because that's kind of its specialty. Getting lots of data and pulling what we need for the very moment of things that we need to do that in. And in this very moment, y'all need to hit that subscribe button, hit the like, share this with a friend, because this is how we perpetuate the sauce. And someone like you probably needs to hear this or see parts of this. And so I plan to have some clips up, later this week and next week as well. So stay tuned for that. If you're liking everything else that you're seeing as well, and you're really super motivated, I do have a membership that you can join on YouTube. Just hit that little join button, $6.99. And you can, I'm starting a Discord as well. So for folks who have been joining, there's like a little link after you join in. You can get on the Discord. You can start kind of chatting with some of the other folk builders who have been there. So this is what dreams are really made of. So yeah, these streams have been great, super insightful. Thanks. Oh man, this is so cool. Yeah, I'm glad that it's been super helpful, because that's kind of the goal here, is that I need to turn on my camera and I need to talk to you more. I'm going to try to do this more often now that I have my streaming set up here. My goal is to try to stream as much as possible. There's things that are moving so fast, and try to build as I go. I don't think I can keep up fast enough, and I have to learn by doing. And in this session together, we learned so much about the SWE model. We learned about Clerk's new billing feature. We learned about how to use an MCP, like configure it, grab the data, Context7, and we got so much stuff. And we're just getting started. So yeah, super helpful, super duper awesome. Thank y'all. Doom as well. Big shout outs to Doom, who's been kind of staying on the stream. You're a stream MVP. Doom, you are today's stream MVP. I'm going to call you out for being amazing, for sticking through and helping people out in the comments as well. And then like also commenting and staying with me. Big shout outs to Odell, Salis as well. Big shout outs to Jeremy A, also staying another stream MVP as well. So big shout outs to you guys, because y'all stayed through a lot, Botch. And big shout out to my folks on X as well, who have been commenting. If you're still watching on X, you're definitely a stream MVP. I am Don as well. I know you're all up in there as well at the beginning, so you probably kind of passed out by now. All right, so I got to go pass out. It's almost 11 o'clock, and I got to be up very shortly to get this energy in. So thank you guys so much. I'll see you tomorrow. I definitely will be streaming. I got some more ideas and more stuff I got to update you on. I need to get my beauty rest so that we can stay crispy, y'all. What an amazing day. What an amazing day. This is so cool. All right, y'all. Peace.